and gets denied, and so wastes the ultimate. Edited stay alive in this. Unfortunately, it was an amazing play, but the rest of the team just have nothing to deal with. Lights' Dragon Blade, which started off, and Scorpion keeping it going with kill after kill. It was Kauza being able to pick up the second fight and finally get a good push going.
That was one of the best plays from Chisel we've seen all tournament. He cancelled Quacha's EMP with his own manual hack. Unfortunately for his team, Kauza used the rest of their ults really, really effectively, and like you say, they importantly won this fight. If they can keep
Monkey doing a whole lot of damage, the sustain just enough to keep everybody alive, but oh no, it's a Nano Monkey! Out goes Panda, out goes Nate, and Chaos soon to follow. That's 3 down immediately in this team fight. Make it 4! SG flops on an absolute tear, that's why you don't mess with an Angry Monkey.
To drop that down to secure that no one dies in that Graviton Surge. And it's still, though, they have not managed to take the point. Wallace's internet have still kept control of it, and now we see Zivania going on the outside again. Oh, wow, if Minitech can beat out a ball in this duel, it's going to be very difficult, I think, for Zivania. In fact, drops the ultimate. He's just not wanting to do this. Zivania, don't step too close to that edge, and with the limited self-sustain that an Ana has, Minitech has been anti-healed up, but just does...
That's your same counter. Aurora knows exactly what he's doing, but now, Thunderclap has a lot of ultis here, but it doesn't look like quite enough just yet. Phoenix was a great ult here, just to make sure nobody goes down that doesn't need to go down, and Saliemo to Pro tuning up.
That's a lot of damage reduction, and for real, he's going to pay the price for it. Tendo takes out Emma, but immediately refragged by Fox and Hound. It's very, very close here. Cloud9 are all over this point, and there's just not enough bodies for Team Uwu to throw. How are you still alive? Just accept the fate. My goodness, out comes the Immortality Field. It's still not out. They're not down and out. It's not over until the Fat Lady sings, and I don't hear any music. For reals, he's taking out Samwise. Samwise the martyrdom. It's absolute chaos on the point. For reals, he's somehow still alive. Out comes the Molten. That's another one. Fox and Hound falling. How is Uwu clawing this back? How are you doing it, you sweet, sweet gems? And Emma Dilemma says no to Reggie chasing after them, but it's 3 seconds left, and somehow they've pushed them off. How have they done this? Team Uwu, the defense clawed back from the jaws of defeat. Absolutely incredible. Uwu indeed.
That's the man of the hour.
Down. They do have the res available if they want to go for it. And Royd is going to start the fight out, takes the duplicate, decides to go onto the opponent's tank, and decides to give them a taste of their own medicine. Fortunately, does not manage to find the nade, or at least the knife. Does get a great ultimate through everyone, though, and that creates all of the space that Ethereal.
20 seconds to think about it. We've got one hell of a fight on our hands, especially with Salmon sitting on their ult. And are we going to see it popped immediately? Yes, we do. Diving in. So much damage to be dealt. The anti-heal goes on. It's just disgusting. What do you mean? The Jungle Queen makes the absolute scrap metal out of the enemy team. Five Knights crushed in their armor. It is a beautiful play and aptly named a rampage. My goodness me. Salmon, slow down, Chief.
Any more here to come? They popped the Lucio ulti there. Not sure about that one. Seems a bit unnecessary as there were already 2 up here. There's a wall there boosting onto another wall. That's not how you're supposed to use that spell.
Done with this day like nothing ever happened. Sanction, even the kinetic drops here.
Assassin! He's so sneaky!
Oh my god, the cart is moving! The cart is moving! They haven't noticed! Is this really going to be this kind of push? Oh no, happening? I don't think there's time. They're not going to get back in time. Somebody's noticed! Oh! What is this?
Assassin, what is this?
Oh my god. Dude, you just need to win the team fight. Team fights are optional, guys.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Toxic Crocs.
About the small choke point and how much damage he can get out if he does manage to land that grenade. He's already 33% to a bomb, but GG are sitting with 4 ultimates of their own. This next fight, oh, Lavius.
I don't know if you saw exactly what Lavius had done there before just popping off completely. He placed a mine in front of his face.
See what ends up happening. I'm looking at 2 squishies standing in front of a Sigma shield. There's one dead. There's one standing in front of the shield dead. There's another one standing in front of the shield dead. I can't bear to watch it. I can't do it anymore.
I said it's a hit scan dream.
20 seconds.
It's a hit scan dream, and there immediately 3 picks come out from Trizzle. It is intense when you basically come up against a team that is willing to take off these angles. You can't
end up committing too much. They do have ults on their side. On the other hand, Inglorious Blasters do also have their ults. They're going to have their window and they're going to have their Orisa ult coming up. But they've taken high ground. That's a big thing for Inglorious Blasters in their composition, especially with this Bastion, the window on the high ground.
Man.
They're not getting Smiley. That's huge. If she'd gone down, that would have been really bad for the Five Nights.
Great movement from Smiley there. One of the better Pharaohs in the country, it has to be said, and using the bulk very effectively there. Mercy, sorry, as Chambi finds the kills. I mean, I don't know how good a Pharaoh is. For all we know, she's the best Pharaoh in the world.
Why you see so many different players on that roster, but it is very difficult.
Lucio getting picked there on the side of Hatchlings, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, on the side of Hatchlings, coming in there already with Lucio. So Farah coming in through on Jack. Oh!
And Trigger does something Trigger does. Trigger jumps off the map.
Danger map that I set up for a whole play, cast a curse in extremes. But here we go, the team is trying to set up. We've obviously got Hatchlings looking pretty comfortable so far. On the
it has broken, and so now they will fix it. Back onto ball here for Kuberin. The Symmetra though comes out once again, getting teleport straight. No! Oh no! Get out of here! It can only be Wallace. It had to be. The rollout is perfect. The boot is perfect, and Wallace picks himself up a 3K strategy dismantled with a single ability.
Yeah, that's just the danger. It's like it's actually quite questionable when you're expecting.
Pulse Bomb goes down, doesn't find anything on this occasion. Blue will have to start building that up again. Tac Visor at the ready, gets popped now, gonna move forward, looking for kills, not finding anything. In fact, Toxin Sock strikes immediately with the drill, takes down Kurigari, and ultimate not finding anything, and now his own ultimate Tox. Finding 1 kill, finding 2 kill, can he get all 5? It looks likely at this point. Again, yes he does. A rampage for Toxin Socks.
And the little spray at the end just as a, okay, cool, yeah, I know what I...
Now, and because we won this final game, I did make a promise to my team, and they're gonna hold this as against me at some point, but that's fine. Because I'm a cat, I have to say the following words, so please forgive me.
Come on, clip this.
Yeah? Yeah? There we go.
Nice.
That's the promise.
Nice. A man of his word, something.
In the front line, putting in a ton of damage. It's fine. He's taken down by the Coalescence. The nice thing about these compositions, Mori can build those ultis pretty quick, and she managed to put it to good use there. Bongo, take it down. Big shatter, huge shatter, general sound. He doesn't really play Reinhardt, but it doesn't matter. The team's got your back like that. Nice follow-up from Team Oink and Yoink, or from the other.
There's a price to being as forward thinking.
It's jail.
It's jail. Yeah, we practice clairvoyance, so it's like, a witch. Jail.
We're unfortunately fugitives from the law. I'm sorry to tell you guys.
Yes, no. Kauza supports criminals. Don't clip that.
Okay, it's gonna be a little bit of a balancing act for Teachers Lounge here to survive without their Moira here. Make sure that
to the fullest. However, we're going to be looking at Tox. Tox is getting picks on the side, but also has his ult coming out. So, I mean, that's going to be able to create a lot of space. And with Plant College having lost both of their DPS in quick succession,
Phoenix having to back up into this building all the way to the back of it because of Like Luke's pressure. And Frizzle managing to get a very impactful pick onto this Mercy here.
And that's a great start. A dual one by the Red Tracer there. The Stalker gets a return kill, but advantage. Hello? Okay, mini take.
Winston is a hard hero today, okay?
Yeah, he's DPS, guys. You can't hold it against him. Yeah, this is how a Winston really plays. Stalker, gonna show.
Stalker demonstrating for us the main skill of being a.
Maybe that is how you play main tank.
I haven't seen anyone from Bomb Squad, but I feel like it's kind of funny how their team name is Bomb Squad, but their usernames are all so cute. They've got Caramella Bear, Dwellums, and Not Raw. It's adorable, but Bomb Squad, it's quite the oxymoron.
Have a look here. Mercy 1v1 on B. This is what we signed up for. This is what we always want to see. The gap. Oh, it's a staff 1v1. I forgot. Let's see. losing out here. Oh, he's getting wrecked, I think.
Vertigo is
Vertigo is dominating, but he needs to keep the damage up, of course. The HP will start ticking up. Blur, a little baby, running away like a coward. Oh my god, this guy. No. No,
is he going to be able to get another hit on her before he
I
knows?
think he's just gonna leave.
He's running away. Oh, he's
just
getting
running
the
away.
back. He's getting the
Coward. Oh my god. Remember this moment, guys. Remember the time Blur ran away from a Mercy 1v1. Oh, he's not even hit it. Let it go. In control. Once again, slamming it down. 1, 2, 3 hits in a row here. What the stuff? Blur manning up now. He whoops the cat up for just a moment, trying to get that extra DPS. But it's not enough. Vertigo with the melee kill. Asserting the dominance.
Only 2 ultimates online currently. We're close to more. Graviton Surge could be a difference maker, and there it is. Grav is out. It only gets 1, so it's not going to get the full value. Unfortunately, Trizzle, I don't know where Trizzle went, but he's gone, and Monarch will continue to clean up. No one left to touch. No one left to contest. That has to be something magical, and it's just not going to happen. The 3-mapper comes to fruition.
That we saw out of this one, I must say, key players I have to point out is Blur and Memes. I did not expect for Memes to show out so well on this Hunter here, but finding some really, really good picks. And that is really, but look at this play, the game is so perfect. Blur goes in with such a...
Absolutely disgusting when it comes through like this. Oh, jeez, that focusing beam does so much damage against a lot of tanks, and sometimes that's just not expected, but just so well played to Ethereal Ducklings. Wow.
Line of Snowstorm upper management. So
Yeah.
very, very well played from their side. And you know, after that first point on Lijiang Tower where it was very even,
Yeah.
Baby Pepe Clowns figured out the strategy because Snowstorm never really brought it back. They never really stabilized in the map and in the series.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a bit more of just the aggression from Snowstorm upper management, as we saw they were playing quite defensive, they were playing quite pokey, and I mean, Pepe Clown seemed to, as you said, have just kind of figured it out to just press the W key and just to send it. I mean, what are you supposed to do with Orion swinging in your face? What are you supposed to do with a Lucio full sending it into your backline? So, so very, very well played to them. That was a matchup.
So next question then is your player of the match.
Teammates, but they haven't taken down enough yet in Glorious Blasters. The point is ticking up. Oh no! It is an Ajax here, unfortunately, for Apricornicus. So good on the Lucio.
A bit lower down, always try and hold their ult too long, but I think their ult usage has been exceptional from both teams. There's going to be a
rebuild here. We're going to be potentially looking for a rebuild. Oh, I see the vision. I see the vision, Stormy. Do it. Do it. Listen to the voices. Listen to the voices. Oh, wait. Maverick goes down.
But it's a 4v4, Magos go down. And Lambert's going to die. It's going to be a rebuild here. He's going to get the pixel. That's huge.
We get to. That's beautiful. Oh, Lucio, yo.
Enough.
Consistent damage, good flank control. Not that there's much flank potential on the Salamander's side, but we always like a little bit more consistency. And also the Reinhardt switch.
Huge. That grab was everything. Oh my god! Play of the game. It's play of the game. Tux,
That's play.
Beautifully done there in the thick of the grabs and the earth shatters. A massive 5-man res to keep this element. Smiley with a 4K res of his own. Just fights back. It's not quite as big, but it's big enough, and it gives Monarch the space that they need to keep fighting this back. Salamanders, Tox did so much, and Smiley says, no you. Uno reverse card.
That was absolutely disgusting. Somebody clip that. Overwatch 1 needs to be...
Overwatch.
No. Walk us through it. Walk us through it. They're gonna wall over the high ground. They're gonna platform and wall over the high ground. No way. This is technically illegal.
They don't commit to it though. That is not executed properly there. And in fact, Poached Egg's going to also take a lot of damage. Get out, in fact, on 23 HP. Solaris went over, but Rafiki decided to backpedal at just the wrong time.
Yeah, I think they messed up the Mei wall a little bit, or they messed up a jump somewhere, and the only person that got over was Mei.
Are still 3 players on the point.
What a
And
save.
Nate, what a great save! You brilliant man.
Oh
You and
my
your
God.
wonderful flowers.
Oh, you got the
the
mech.
mech. How did you get the mech back in time? That's
got ult as
amazing.
well.
SG Teddy managing to stop the Life Weaver's reign of healing as.
It's
amazing. This is great.
In the Mei ulti to clean it up. They've got a little bit of distance.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the EMEA National Team Show match between South Africa and Iceland. Guys, I am your host, Lixodian, and I am joined by the lovely Lord of Terrans and Blur. Gents, how are we doing tonight?
Worse now that I'm not part of the lovely squad, but you know, that's where we are. Really excited to see some international Overwatch, some high level Overwatch. Certainly the best of our country on show and the best of Iceland, one would assume.
Yeah. Terran, any lovely words?
It's been so long, you know, since we got to see South Africa compete, you know, since 2019. So being able to see them again, it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to see us just, you know, absolutely dominate them. We have to bring that SA pride, you know. If the Springboks can do it, we can too. All right, so basic rules for our show match tonight. This will be a 1st to 4, so let's hope for a 7-map banger. We get some good Overwatch in there, you know, see all those crazy plays. We also have hero bans, so if we don't know how the hero bans work, it should follow the Overwatch competitive series, where it is one team gets to ban first, typically the losing team first, and then the other team gets to ban, but it cannot be from the same role, and then you cannot ban the same character twice. So that Jetpack Cat ban is only coming out once. Then, yeah, let's hope that we get more of these show matches, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think always seeing national matches is exciting, whether it be in Overwatch or sports or just any other esport in general. It's not something you get to see very often, so when you do get to see it, it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I think we miss out on that a little bit in esports sometimes, as we have our factions are very much based on the orgs that we support and even the conferences that we support in terms of like the EU, NA, Korea splits. You know, largely is what we've seen in Overwatch, but we don't really ever like get a chance to watch our team play. You know, and when we have in the past, like the 2019 World Cup, was watching them qualify, and then, you know, it was the match that they played and then came home. Here, we're getting to see them actually just play an exhibition, get a little bit of a feel of the team, a feel of like the vibe that they bring.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of the team, shall we move on and get a look at our own team representing us tonight? So, Blur.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, so actually, the interesting part about the team that we have representing us tonight is a lot of players might not be entirely familiar with every name here, because if you play in our local scene, you're obviously familiar with Swoom and Sterling, and if you've been around for long enough, Condi's a name you'll know. But a lot of these players are players that are South Africans abroad. Specifically, if we're talking about Condi, and one of the players not on this list, Thematic, is players that have played at an OWCS level. So we've seen them play at, you know, the top of the top. So it's a bit of a difference from where we were in 2019, right? Where you had an extremely nationally located contingent representing our country and playing it again at a good level there, but it wasn't, you know, the professional standard. And now we're starting to see players representing, or players from our country representing overseas, you know, in OWCS, EMEA, and, you know, at a really, really high level, you know, if not T1, T2. And so that's extremely, extremely interesting to see. You know, competitive Overwatch nowadays, it's not really like you're gonna tremendously see player preference come into account when talking about comps anymore. You're gonna see what's good being played. But it is great to see that we are fielding a team that is getting higher and higher level.
Yeah, and that's also great. I mean, from the local tournaments as well, like we've seen a lot of domination. I mean, a lot of this team is from IB, is it not? And that team they just win everything.
Yeah.
I think it goes to show kind of where we are in terms of esports in South Africa. It is obviously a little bit more difficult than some other countries in terms of infrastructure. You have to fly quite a ways if you want to go to a LAN. So seeing high-end players from South Africa in other countries does make sense if you want to pursue a better career. People like Condi and Theo who were at the top level for quite some time.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, this is another game for us. Obviously, you've mentioned that it's been the first time since 2019 that we've been playing, but this is also like a provisional kind of thing. It's almost like we need to, show our skin a bit. Show our fight, our grit.
I mean, the more you appear at this type of level and you're playing, this is not going to be an easy match by any stretch of the imagination, right? It's a great team that we're playing against. So, you're gonna be, the more you play in that environment, put yourself in the the top of the, playing against the top, the more you get used to it. When you eventually get to a high level tournament, then you're not daunted by the occasion as much, and that would be a good place for our country to be, even if we're not favored.
Yeah, getting that exposure therapy, just kind of less of the pain, because you've had more of it.
Yeah, a pre-tournament beating, so to speak.
That's what I'm saying.
Or pre-tournament warm-up, depending on how well this goes.
Yeah.
And I think even on that point, I remember back in 2019, one thing a lot of the players mentioned was it was an adjustment getting used to 20, 30 ping, whereas a lot of these players will be used to that by now. They're not accounting for, oh, my shot has to be a little bit later because if I don't, it's not going to hit. So I think that's something that is going to make a big difference if they do get the chance to qualify and make it to the United States.
Yeah, I mean, the muscle memory will definitely be out of shape.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Yeah. Could we also maybe just give some light to our beautiful committee run by Smiley? So we have Smiley as our manager, and then we also have Aussie as our assistant coach, and then Vision as our coach. Oh, and then we also have Nevi as social media manager. Shout out Nevi. All right, now that that's done, can we chat about the Iceland team?
Yeah, so Iceland is quite an interesting team. Something I didn't expect to see. Obviously, a name that I forgot is Hafikul, who's on the roster. I think he was on Envy and British Hurricane at some point way back during the Contenders days. So it is someone who definitely has a lot of experience at the top level. And Iceland is a team who have, participated in, these kind of tournaments since I think 2019, 2016 even. So they have a lot of appearances behind them, a lot of experience. And all of their players have appeared before, pretty much. So that is something that is going to give them quite a big boost going forward. They know what it takes at this level and what they'll need to do to prepare to kind of start dominating, the European scene, which has been on the rise lately.
Yeah. Also, maybe just chat about their staff. So their manager, Knack. Not that I'm familiar with any of these people, but yeah, we need to shout out the team behind the team, So Knack being their manager, CMD being their coach, and their assistant coach being Hafikul, and then their social media manager being Maisley Fox. And I'm hoping I said that right. I don't know. There's probably some accent I'm not doing right.
Yeah, I think that's always a concern when it's names from a language that you don't speak normally.
Yeah.
So I think
here.
Yeah, or here as well. So it is a bit risky.
For being completely honest.
Yeah, I think
I don't think any Icelandic.
Yeah. I think the only times I've maybe heard it is in the Premier League with like Gylfi Sigurdsson is like one of the only Icelandic names I know.
Watching them knock England out of the Euros.
Yeah,
that was a
that was
classic.
iconic. I remember the claps. But yeah, I also think like they obviously we don't know too much about their local leagues, but from what we have seen is they run their own local tournaments, just like compared to what South Africa does, and they have prize pools for majority of theirs. So there is a pretty big local community going around with Overwatch.
Yeah, that probably also speaks to the quality of their team then, because if you're playing for this like prize pool, you're obviously going to try and field the best team possible, and at that point, probably the best players are playing together. So this team probably has synergy like IB does.
Yeah.
And I mean, they'll be more entrenched into the European community as a whole. Obviously, our international contingent there now will be as well, but as a nation, it's more kind of like entrenched into that. Okay, we're going to play a tournament, we're going to play in the European scene versus where you start out in South Africa. That bridge to get to that point is a lot longer and a lot less clear. So, I mean, definitely a very well-established team, and if you're expecting them to come out and put out a performance, like a solid performance of a solid Overwatch team, that you're expecting to do well at international level.
Yeah. All right, now I'd like to open this up as a discussion for the three of us. Pleasantries out of the way. We have a new season.
Yeah.
This season did not give us 1, not give us 2, but 5 new heroes. And it's meta shaking to get 5 new heroes in just one season. So what are your guys' thoughts between all of these characters that we've gotten? What do we think are we going to see today? Like, what's the vibes?
I mean, Zaya is just very strong, isn't she? I don't know how much we're going to shake up in the space. I mean, we saw the OWCS preseason tournament come through, and not a lot of new character inclusion other than the characters that were forced to be played during specific maps. So I don't know if that's an adjustment period or if that's a sign that the things that are in the game are just too entrenched right now. But I don't think we're going to see too much dissimilar from what we've already been seeing.
Yeah, I think maybe the one character that could take over in terms of just her pure power is Domina, but the problem is she's competing with Zarya. And Zarya Vendetta combined is a very difficult combination to break right now. So I think if we do see a lot of the newer heroes, it's probably going to be a bit more experimentation than this is what we think is hard meta. Maybe getting used to those heroes in case later down the line they get buffs or Zarya Ven get nerfed to the point where they aren't playable anymore.
I mean, you think of somebody like Sterling, right? Who's an avid Soldier player. Despite the meta, Sterling will probably somehow find a way to play Soldier. So what if we find somebody who has started enjoying these new characters and just tries to force them, Like, that Jetpack Cat is an absolute menace.
Yes.
So if somebody... I know there was a recent nerf to the Claws Out, which was quite a really strong perk where that lead it would last for way too long.
Yeah.
But in terms of like all of these characters and people, finding an affinity for them, do we think that that's potential? Like there's potential for that? I mean, EMEA got his buff, Amran got her buff. Do we think that could shake anything?
I think we're seeing the opposite of what you usually see with new characters. Is that you've got 5 new characters who collectively, you're seeing them all come into the game. Like, they're Jetpack Cat's irritating to deal with. Domina can be very oppressive, but they're not it's not like when Juno came into the game, when Malga came into the game, where you had them be dominant. And I think that's a good thing, because I think having 5 characters come into the game and be dominant would be horrifying. So I think it's that might signal an actual design intent shift from the Overwatch team. But likewise, maybe there's definitely the potential that if you find a gap that one of these new heroes is exploiting that the other team doesn't have an answer for yet, because that's the other thing that you do see with new heroes a lot, is being used in a way to poke at something that a team is uncomfortable with. When they don't have an answer for it yet, when they haven't learned to problem solve it yet. But I don't think any of those heroes inherently are strong enough in and of themselves to be that thing unless you have a very specific approach to it.
Yeah. I almost want to say those characters are only really viable if you play around them, not if you just slot them into the team. You would really have to like synergize with that character to make them work, because it was quite underwhelming when a lot of them came into the game. Personally, I felt Emery to be quite weak when he joined the game. Like, it's a really nice kit, it's a fun kit, but like it feels like it's a pea shooter. And the same thing with Anran, just dies too easily. But yeah, we also had a recent nerf to Vendetta and the overhead swing, which was that quite lethal finisher move. I mean, obviously Vendetta's still quite strong, but do we think that that impacts the way that she plays now? Do we think that Vendetta's with the Zarya still need to be super careful? Or is it just business as usual?
I think not much is going to change. I don't think the nerf hit her hard enough to the point where she's not playable, especially because Zarya just enables such an aggressive playstyle from the Vendetta that you can get away with multiple swings. So losing that little bit of damage isn't really going to affect her that much. And you can just maybe go for that second rotation of bubbles and still get the same value.
I mean, the secondary value of that is, of course, that after doing that, regardless of whether your Vendetta stays or not, you then have a crazy charge Zarya. That's that's the combo appeal. I mean, if you're not going to see that value from Vendetta, you're going to see that rotate out for Venture, because that was what was happening before Vendetta. Is that you were seeing Zarya Venture come into the kind of rotation because it's the same thing. It's that you can now be super greedy, get value, and then rotate out, and your Zarya is now a roving scion of death. That's the appeal. So the Vendetta getting nerfed, it's like cool. You don't die to the shielded sword lady. You now die to the death beam.
Then my last question is, we have like the Zarya and the Vendetta, they're kind of like set in stone for most of the part. But the other DPS is kind of a question mark. Like, do we get a Tracer? Do we get a Sojourn? Do we get a Venture? Do we get a Cass? Do we get an Ashe? Like, what do we think we're going to see today?
That's a good question. I think that one is potentially a preference. A preference pick. But I mean, there's obviously established meta picks and what you're kind of like looking at, what you're looking to expect. But I mean, looking at Sterling coming into this, you're expecting a hit scan pick, you know. Looking at if you had a situation with Condi 1 King in, you maybe think that it's like a combination of a double flex lineup. Maybe you've got a Vendetta Tracer potentially. So I think we could see some Cass. Obviously, kind of a regular occurrence at most levels of this stage. Sojourn also frequently seen as just a kind of damage pumping hero, and might be good for securing that punish onto a Vendetta if she's not able to get those picks quickly enough. And then on that backline, you're really just looking at that Kiri. It's just when are we not going to see Kiri?
I mean, Kiri, that character. You know what? That is all. Just Kiri. That's it. That's the bit. Then, Terran, I quickly want to pass something on to you just to chat about the infrastructure of South African Overwatch. How do we feel about that?
So, I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people who are in South Africa know trying to get involved in anything esports gaming related is incredibly difficult. From the sky-high prices, which are just getting worse for PCs these days, as well as potential load shedding, internet issues, just anytime randomly the power will go out because the coal got wet. It is very difficult to kind of get that motivation as well, because do you want to grind the game when there's a chance that you could just all of a sudden lose power for days on end and other people don't have to contend with that? And then on top of that, you're still also worried about the fact that I have to pay extra costs just to fly to anywhere notable these days. Most events taking place Europe, America, Korea, Japan, those kind of places, and it's not cheap to fly there just on its own, and then there's all the other costs on top of that. So it can be demotivating a lot of the time to get involved in esports when there are that many barriers.
I mean, even within our own country, right? It's like our last LAN event was the Ethereal Crown Finals, and it was not cheap to fly.
Nope.
You know, we live in a geographically very separated country, so getting everyone in one place for a LAN event to even get that experience of playing kind of like, you know, the LAN environment. It was Ethereal Crown, that was what, 2023, right? 24.
24, yeah.
24. And then the last one was the VS Gaming LAN in 2019. It's not easy to kind of like even get that experience, regardless of what game you play. Like even if you're in CS, probably the biggest game in this country, flying to your events is expensive. Getting your PC there, getting set up there, it's expensive. It's not entirely safe that you'll get your PC there in one piece, let alone at all. And it can be difficult.
Yeah. All right, so we have Smiley from our management team on the line. Blur, are you ready for the interview?
I don't think I'm ever ready to talk to Smiley, but that's fine.
All right.
Okay, hello Smiley, how are you? Of course I'm happy to speak with you. Always happy to speak to you, Smiley. Okay, so starting off with a bit of a doozy. How hard was it to put this team together? Because obviously finding the players in a local setting would have been fairly kind of straightforward, right? The people that play for our team's rigging. How'd you go about finding all the European South Africans? Okay, and I mean, it's obviously a renowned thing in other sports having kind of the people abroad more established, kind of like come in and represent their national teams. Has there been any difficulty integrating them with, or integrating the locals and integrating the people that play abroad? Fair enough. I mean, yeah, it's definitely the experience of seeing a South African abroad is always a kind of very renowned one. So with that, with the kind of integrating of this entire team, building it up, and kind of getting everyone together for preparation for a bigger tournament, how is the approach to this moving in terms of like building a legacy for this? Is this something that 3 years from now we'll be seeing a lot of the same processes taking place and a lot of these players repeating their appearance in the squad, if like ideally, or is this kind of like just new ground and we're going to see how it goes? Okay, and I mean, you obviously went through an extremely exhaustive trial process for this, and it was something like 17 trials or something. That was I remember like scrolling through that channel and like I was watching the streams and I just was like, oh, trial day 17. I was like, what happened there? And I mean, obviously, you feel that's what you've ended up with, best possible team, the best possible circumstances. Well, that's really, really good. Apparently, I'm currently talking to myself on stream, so I'm so sorry that you've apparently not come through. But I can't do the accents. I don't have the same cadence. You know how it is. I think, yeah. I think cutting back to the desk might be best. I'm tired of speaking to myself, apparently. Sorry, Smiley. It's actually, I manifested into existence. My mistake. Sorry, community.
We're so back.
We're so back.
Blur's interview with his demons.
They definitely won, just by the way.
Would you say that if you had to duel Smiley, you'd win? Oh no!
Look,
I mean, Smiley is quite a force to
yeah,
be reckoned with. I must say.
I would just expect death.
I think my first interaction with Smiley was at the Ethereal Crown, where we were sitting across from each other in the first match, and we ended up kicking each other accidentally while we were playing, because we were both main supports, and we were just like sitting across from each other, and then just like death staring, but also like kind of laughing because it was funny.
It's the most mechanical part of the role.
Yeah, of course.
You are position main spot under the table.
Yeah. Definitely. You have to play the footsie. The footsie is important. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? Like, is this Overwatch? Is this football? No, it's both.
It's interesting hearing the technicalities of the role from an expert as such.
Yeah. Yes, no, of course. Me, the Lucio one trick, hard stuck diamond. Definitely
the expert.
Definitely one of the pros.
Clearly expert at footsie, right?
Oh yeah, fantastic. I'm the best, honestly.
How did that game go out of interest?
The game, we won the first map, and then they won Orisa, and then we kind of got scared.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a gentleman's
Gambit
agreement to go Orisa, and then the Orisa came out, and we were like, oh damn. Yeah. That's how that game went. But we won Lijiang, which is like, you know.
No, actually, you may like. Why did they even continue the series at that point?
That's what I'm saying, right? It should have been 1-0, game's done, go home. Yeah. In bed before 9.
However, back to South Africa, Iceland, since
Yes, yeah, that's what we're here for, and not talking about footsie.
Yes.
Yeah, so there were some things that Smiley said that we could hear about how exhaustive the process was, how many players they did, how many days they went through. So at least we know this is one of the better teams that we will be getting for, if not our best team. I'm not playing. I'm on the bench, on the bench of the bench. So
yeah, we call that the casting desk.
Coaches don't play or something.
This is where everyone who can't play well at the game comes, because it's our only contribution, because we won't be on the team.
Yeah. But yeah, we know that this is the best team we could have fielded after all of the deliberation. So do we have any predictions? Do we know anything about Iceland's team? How do we feel about this match between, the clashing forces?
Okay, without being very analytical about it, I have to be South African. 4-0, easy peasy, bed by 9, bed by 10. We're going for it. It's what's happening.
You say South African though, and yet our Springboks have done us quite dirty before. So, where they hit us with 1 point over the other team.
Yeah.
And then we're like, guys, let's not give us a heart attack as a nation like that.
I mean, that's a fair point, but you also got to remember, it's not DNA, it's RSA.
Real. Hulle weet nie wat ons weet nie.
Exactly. Yeah, South Africa 4-0, clean sweep, in bed before 9.
Okay, I might be the Simon Cowell of this panel, but I might give Iceland a map. Loki's seeing Iceland take the first map that they pick, because we're going to take the first map, obviously, we know this. And then the second map will be Iceland, because they pick the map, and then we just lock in from there.
Fair
Like
enough.
we read them, you know. That's my prediction. 4-1 South Africa.
Okay.
I have not gotten any confirmation about a second interview. Okay, so that looks like that will be all for our pre-show currently. Thank you so much for this part. We're gonna go over to our casters in just a bit for some crazy Overwatch action.
Look at the Vanguard overclocked interaction.
Look, let's rate the Leiden overclock interaction first. Let's just get that now.
Overclock dams to Leiden.
Okay. Easy. Leiden number 10.
Jesus
Just straight up.
I will say, agree with that. I think shout out as well to Knoppis, who was actually quite a standout performer on that Anna. We kind of poo-pooed him at the beginning, being like, about how good he was, or would be, but plenty of key sleeps and good anti-nades to shut down the main man Cubic as well. So great work from Knoppis as well. And every Overwatch game is a team effort. We know that as well as anybody does, but sometimes you just got to point out the players who stood out.
Yeah.
So guys, that is the first game of the
little square around him, Dip Bandit, that he could work through. Now isolated alone, he gets the charge through onto Sally. Awesome squats, boys! Things are getting real up in here as
Phoenix having to back up into this building all the way to the back of it because of like Luke's pressure. And Frizzle's managing to get a very impactful pick onto this Mercy here.
The Monkey doing a whole lot of damage. The sustain just enough to keep everybody alive, but oh no, it's a Nano Monkey! Out goes Panda, out goes Nate, and Chaos soon to follow. That's 3 down immediately in this team fight. Make it 4! SG flops on an absolute tear. That's why you don't mess with an Angry Monkey.
Great coalescence from Wallace cleaning up that fight. Now the big question is, can they win the second fight? If they don't win the second fight, that first fight will all be for nothing.
They do have the ultimates and advantage though. Quokka's got the EMP to come through. Lights are also going to be enabled through that to use his Dragon Blade and hacks out of the EMP. Quokka went for that in mid-air and gets denied, and so wastes the ultimate. Edited stay alive in this. Unfortunately, it was an amazing play, but the rest of the team just have nothing to deal with Lights' Dragon Blade, which started off, and Scorpion keeping it going with kill after kill. It was Kauza being able to pick up the second fight and finally get a good push going.
That was one of the best plays from Chisel we've seen all tournament. He cancelled Quokka's EMP with his own manual hack. Unfortunately for his team, Kauza used the rest of their ults really, really effectively, and like you say, they importantly won this fight. If they can keep...
it looks like we can kill up Tox!
Oh my god!
Tox with a triple move! What are we
Oh, can he get back on it? What?
With the Tox! Oh my god!
Oh, it's actually insane!
Name and play Toxic Crocs, Toxin Socks, making
No ways,
oh my
dude!
god!
What did we just witness?
He's gone with his day like nothing ever happened, Sanchin. In the Canadian grass here.
Assassin!
He's so sneaky! Oh my god, the cart is moving! The cart is moving! They haven't noticed! Is this really gonna be this kind of push? Oh no, happening? I don't think there's time. They're not gonna get back in time. Nobody's noticed! Oh! What a disaster!
Assassin,
What a disaster! Oh my god. Dude, you need to win the team fight. Team fights are optional, guys.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Toxic Crocs.
Backline of Snowstorm upper management. So
Yeah.
very, very well played from their side. And you know, after that first point on Lijiang Tower where it was very even,
Yeah.
Baby Pepe Clowns figured out the strategy because Snowstorm never really brought it back. They never really stabilized in the map and in the series.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a bit more of just the aggression from Snowstorm upper management, as we saw they were playing quite defensive, they were playing quite pokey, and I mean, Pepe Clown seemed to, as you said, have just kind of figured it out to just press the W key and just to send it. I mean, what are you supposed to do with Orion swinging in your face? What are you supposed to do with a Lucio full sending it into your backline? So, so very, very well played to them. That was a matchup.
So next question then is your player of the match.
In the front lines, putting in a ton of damage. It's fun. It's taken down by the Coalescence. The nice thing about these compositions is Mori can build those ultis pretty quick, and she managed to put it to good use there. Bongo, take it down. Big shatter, huge shatter, general sound. He doesn't really play Reinhardt, but it doesn't matter when your team's got your back like that. Nice follow-up from Team Oink and Yoink, or from the other. It has broken, and so now they will fix it. Back onto ball here for Kuberin. The Symmetra, though, comes out once again, going to teleport straight. No! Oh, no! It could only be it could only be Wallace. It had to be. The rollout is perfect. The boop is perfect. And Wallace picks himself up a 3K strategy dismantled with a single ability.
Yeah, that's just the danger. It's like it's actually quite questionable when you're expecting.
That's your same counter. Aurora knows exactly what he's doing, but now Thunderclap has a lot of ultis here, but it doesn't look like quite enough just yet. Phoenix with a great ulti there, just to make sure nobody goes down that doesn't need to go down, and Sully Emoji Pro cleaning up.
Mario wins. Oh wait. Okay. Moyer, such a creature.
About the small choke point and how much damage he can get out if he does manage to land that grenade. He's already 33% to a bomb, but EG are sitting with 4 ultimates of their own. This next fight, oh Lavius.
I don't know if you saw exactly what Lavius had done there before just popping off completely. He placed a mine in front of his face.
There's a price to being as forward thinking.
It's jail.
It's jail. Yeah, we practice clairvoyance, so it's like a witch. Jail.
We're unfortunately fugitives from the law. I'm sorry to tell you guys.
Yes, Kauza supports criminals. Don't clip that.
Okay, it's gonna be a little bit of a balancing act for Teachers Lounge here to survive without their Moira here. Make sure that
Pulse Bomb goes down, doesn't find anything on this occasion. Blue will have to start building that up again. Tac Visor at the ready, gets popped now, gonna move forward, looking for kills, not finding anything. In fact, Toxin Sock strikes immediately with the drill, takes down Kurigari, and ultimate, not finding anything, and now his own ultimate Tox. Finding 1 kill, finding 2 kill, can he get all 5? It looks likely at this point. Again, yes he does. A rampage for Toxin Socks.
And the little spray at the end just as a, okay, cool, yeah, I know what I...
Well enough for that.
Yeah, really can't argue with the results. Let's see if they can continue to leverage that into teamfight victories, and that's a great start. A duel won by the Red Tracer there. A Stalker gets a return kill, but advantage... Hello? Okay, mini take.
Winston is a hard hero to play. Okay?
Yeah, he's DPS, guys. You can't hold it against him here. This is how a Winston really plays. Stalker, gonna show...
Stalker demonstrating for us the main skill of being a...
maybe that is how you play main tank.
Just to their benefit right now, tracks the Kiriko in there and mainly mitigates the damage coming out from the other side. Solaris and the Farah not wanting to jump in there. Cheetahs, he's got off the map! He's jumped off the map, and that's...
Have a look here. Mercy 1v1 on B. This is what we signed up for. This is what we always want to see. The gap. Oh, it's a staff 1v1. Losing out here. Oh, he's getting wrecked, I think. Vertigo is dominating, but you need to keep the damage up, of course. The HP will start ticking up. Blur, a little baby, running away like a coward. Oh my god, this guy. No.
Is he going to be able to get another hit on her before he dies?
I think he's just going to leave.
Running away. Oh, he's
just
getting
running away.
Getting back.
Oh my god. Remember this moment, guys. Remember the time Blur ran away from a Mercy 1v1. Can't even hit a Vertigo in control. Once again, slamming it down. 1, 2, 3 hits in a row here. What the stuff? Blur manning up now. He whoops the cat out for just a moment, trying to get the extra DPS. But it's not enough. Vertigo with the melee kill, asserting the dominance. in the May ulti to clean it up. They've got a little bit of distance to cover here, so even when they win this team fight, it's not over just yet. We saw how good they were, but with the long spawns in overtime, actually, it looks like Oiken can clean up Tox.
Oh my god!
Tox with a triple move. What are we
Oh, can he get back on it? What?
With the Tox, oh my god.
Oh, it's actually insane.
Name and play Toxic Crocs, Toxin Socks, making
end up committing too much, and they do have ults on their side. On the other hand, Inglorious Blasters do also have their ults. They're going to have their Window and they're going to have their Orisa ult coming up. But they've taken high ground. That's a big thing for Inglorious Blasters in their composition, especially with this Bastion, the Window on the high ground.
Man.
They're not getting Smiley. That's huge. If she'd gone down, that would have been really bad for the Five Nines.
Great movement from Smiley there. One of the better pharaohs in the country, it has to be said, and using the bulk very effectively there. Mercy, sorry, as Chambi finds the kills. I mean, I don't know how good a pharaoh is. For all we know, she's the best pharaoh in the world.
I haven't seen anyone from Bomb Squad, but I feel like it's kind of funny how their team name is Bomb Squad, but their usernames are all so cute. We've got Caramella Bear, Dwellums, and Not Raw. It's adorable, but Bomb Squad is quite the oxymoron.
Lucio getting picked there on the side of Hatchling, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, on the side of Hatchling, coming in there already with Lucio. So Farah coming in through on Jack. Oh!
And Trigger does something Trigger does. Trigger jumps off the map.
Danger map that I set up for a whole play. Caster Curse in extremes. But here we go, the team is trying to set up. We've obviously got Hatchling looking pretty comfortable so far on the
to the fullest. However, we're going to be looking at Tox. Tox is getting picks on the side, but also has his ult coming out. So, I mean, that's going to be able to create a lot of space. And with Clown College having lost both of their DPS in quick succession.
Absolutely disgusting when it comes through like this. Oh, jeez. That focusing beam does so much damage against a lot of tanks. And sometimes it's just not expected, but just so well played to the Ethereal Ducklings. Wow.
Teammates, but they haven't taken down enough yet, Inglorious Blasters. The point is ticking up. Oh no!
And here we go. Time to get into the action. The panel broke down all the important information, who these players are, what the matchup looks like, the entire enigma that surrounds this matchup. And now it's our turn. Altruism and Sun Phoenix here to bring you the cast. We still got to get through the hero bans and the map bans and all those sort of technicalities. But we're here now to witness Overwatch.
Oh, nice, classic. So much to work with there, Altruism. Thank you. I mean, what an interesting setup this is, right, Al? You and I have been in the South African Overwatch scene now for some period of time. You know, we're two old heads in this community. I used to play way back in the day. A lot of our current community members probably don't even know that. That's how long ago that was. But to see kind of the growth of the community has been awesome. Obviously, ebbs and flows along with the game in itself, but the game is taking an uptick. Overwatch at the moment, season 1 of 2026 has really brought a lot of eyes back to the game. 5 new heroes released, as Exodian reminded us of, and a lot of new eyes on the game. So it's really awesome to see. And then also now being introduced from a South African perspective to the international community. They mentioned on the panel again, 2019 was the last time we were in anything along those lines. 1 game was all we got, but they got to fly out to the US, to BlizzCon, and so really you couldn't be too unhappy with your deal, no matter how many games you did or didn't play. But since then, it's kind of been back to South Africa, back to just focusing on the local community, playing our games, playing our tournaments, the odd LAN here or there. But again, now we're given this opportunity to engage as a South African unit with the international community. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we stack up as a comparison to where we were in the past, and obviously where we sit now.
Well, that's the beauty, right? I think between BlizzCon in 2019 and now the resurgence of Overwatch with the new introduction of this season and the characters, I think there's at least 20,000 people in South Africa who are probably excited just because there's a cat in the game now. So there has been a big resurgence, and this quiet time has almost now just been the breeding ground for new talent to step up. All of those old competitions were the same old names from back when even you were part of the scene, right? So Sun Phoenix, what's nice to me is the team that we're bringing to the fore today and that we're actually looking to move towards the future with has some new talent, has some new names. Smiley has been one of those people who's come up in the last couple of years as a manager of an entire contingent of very passionate people and putting together this team. And like you say, now we get to step up. Now we're more confident. We've still got that maturity and some of those well-known names of the guys who have the fundamentals down to such an art form that they've made a name for themselves on the international stage. Now we get to take a couple new people along the journey with us.
And of course, there's a whole other team involved here, Altruism. Obviously, given who we are, where we come from, and what our experience is, it's going to be very South African focused, very South African centric. But Iceland are here to play as well, of course. We'll see how these teams match up, but I think the expectation is that Iceland are a very, very strong team as compared to the South African squad. So we might be measuring team fights won, maps won, as opposed to series wins here. But it promises to be a very engaging matchup one way or another. We'll learn a lot from it, from a meta standpoint, from a team dynamics standpoint, and I'm looking forward to see how things play out here in this first to 4 series.
Yep, it's a long series, right? First of all means that we're getting to see all the different kind of maps. We're getting to see a great exhibition of a diverse roster, 50 heroes now in the game, bigger than ever before. And so there's a lot of room for shenanigans. It's no longer just the sim TP strats of old or getting a good May wall. Now we have to worry about the Sky Noon, the Cassidy being carried around by a jetpack. This is the difference in the tenor right now. And so, like you say, it's a great opportunity as a fact-finding mission for us. And a good place to start that is where the battlegrounds are going to take place, right? We're going to be having the standard control. We're going to be starting with Lijiang map, Lijiang Tower, at least the most picked map in competitive Overwatch. So we know Lijiang well. And then we go through the standard cycle, hybrid, push, flashpoint, escort. We kind of keep going through that as we need. It's first 2-4, which means you need 4 decisive victories and kind of like a best of 7, but technicalities we'll sort out later. Sun Phoenix, Lijiang, there's got to be some sort of familiarity here at least.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Most popular competitive map, and it's a map that has a lot of balance, but also a lot of opportunity to express different play styles. Of course, you think Control center, you're thinking a much more brawly composition, and then on Gardens and Night Market, you've got the opportunity to kind of vary your compositions around that. So it gives you an opportunity to test yourself in a few different potential scenarios, and I think that's why a lot of teams like to start. Of course, also started when the game started, 2016, this map came out, so there is a ton of familiarity with this map. Whether you've been playing since the beginning or more recently, you're going to be coming up against this map a lot. You're going to know this map, all the nooks and crannies, and it's going to be a comfort place for all teams throughout South Africa, throughout Europe. So it doesn't surprise me that teams will kind of lean on this when you don't know your opponents as well. So cool, let's just take it to where we know. Alternative choices, Busan and Oasis, still favorite maps, I think, by the various communities, but more recently introduced. So Lijiang Towers is like home in a control point map.
And it becomes a comfort pick, right? I always tend to think that control doesn't always reflect the rest of the series. It's such a standalone 50-50, but maybe the 50-50 is kind of where you need to set your targets, calibrate your entire play style around your opposition. If you walk them in a clean sweep of that, then you feel a little bit better going into the next round. You're more prepared to take something more audacious like a dive or a very aggressive brawl and just kind of run at your opposition, knowing that you'll get away with it more often. But Lijiang is a great place, and it offers that diversity. Now, obviously, with the introduction of the new characters, the sky is a much bigger option when you've got something like, if I see a Bastion flying with a jetpack cat, I'm going to die in this sort of world, in this sort of international team showdown. I don't want to see the reliance on the cheeky strategies. I kind of want to see good Overwatch, just solid. Let's pick a strategy. Let's design the team and the hero choices around that and play some very aggressive characters. Because we know we've got the mechanical background. We've got the team synergy. A lot of these guys have been playing together here for a while, son.
I wonder though, we could be in. I have to say it. I don't want to say it lest I will it into reality. But there's always a chance here that one team is way more dominant over the other, and that's where we might start to see some shenanigans come through. We might start to see the jetpack cat, a room to kind of express yourself now with all these new heroes in the game, and that's so again. I'm desperately trying not to will it into existence. But given where the South African scene is compared to some of your more entrenched European scenes like that of Iceland, there isn't always a chance that our 5 best players don't quite stack up to their 5 best players. So I'm hoping that we stack up well, that we put up a good fight here, but there's always a chance that once we get into map 3 or 4, the key gloves are off and we start fooling around with some other stuff. So looking forward to seeing how it all comes together here. But first step will just be for the South African team, again, looking at it from a South African perspective, just put up a good fight.
I like that. You know, sometimes the final scoreline doesn't show how close every one of them. If we start taking payload maps to overtime, if you're starting to go, to final map every time you walk into a control point, that's really good. 100 to 100 is a very different story than 100 to 0. And how well, if it's a matter of, hey, let's refine our ult economy and maybe not dump 3 ults and we can get away with pushing the boundaries. If that's the sort of argument that we're having at the end of this, I'll be very happy. If it's a case of, hey, guys, maybe let's not pick a Genji into a Torbjorn backline with like Brig and everyone else that counts with you right now. I don't want to have those conversations. And coming into this, I'm mildly optimistic about that. I don't think that these guys are going to be throwing. I would like to see those, jetpack cat plays as the make or break, the hero play, the old Toxin Socks Lucio boop 3 people off the maps kind of moments. I don't want that to be the default, is all I want. All that I'm aiming for this team.
I think my big concern, Alt, is what I like to call bigger, faster, stronger. It's that the Iceland players are more drilled, they have more time to play more Overwatch. Worth remembering as well that the South African players are paying on 150 ping minimum. So that is a huge disadvantage for anybody who plays a competitive first-person shooter. So that is something, these are all things we'll have to keep in our head as we watch things unfold. Again, I'm trying not to doomsay here, Altruism, I promise. But just to set expectations, I think it's worth doing that here before we set out. And I hope to whatever deity that I believe in that I'm proven wrong and that our team shows up strong and really takes the fight to Iceland. I believe that they can, but I also am willing to accept that there's a possibility that we might just be outmatched here on the day.
We're South Africans. We fight. If you stand up and scream at me, I'll scream at you a little bit bigger. We're both going to go home bloody at this stage. And you know, when I get people like Condi or Sterling onto the team roster, I'm going, Sterling is not going to back down from a Widow 1v1. If that gets presented to them, we might lose it 5 out of 6 times, but he's still going to try for it. And I'm happy with that. But it does affect how our players choose their heroes, what sort of maps and bans we start going to. And talking about that, we do have the bans ready. So first ban, Iceland taking out Domina and South Africa Vendetta. I am so happy with both these. I think this is right, son.
Yeah, I think as from a neutral's perspective, where you don't really know what your opponents might be doing, these are 2 solid heroes just to take out of the equation to start off. Domina, really, really strong at the moment. A little bit overtuned, I'd say. Kind of a difficult hero to play into. Vendetta can really, really dominate the backline if given the chance, and really leverages the power of the Zarya as well, as we heard the panel talking about. So no surprise here at these 2 heroes taken out, or at least these 2 heroes make sense. I think there was very little that could have surprised us here, Altruism, given the circumstances. But these are 2 bans that make a lot of sense, and we'll see how they evolve as the match unfolds.
I do think that they're both kind of characters that can control everything for the team. Domina is an unsurprising ban, and if you guys are not 100% sure how the bans work, if one team chooses a role, you cannot then have the second ban from the same role. So if Domina was the first ban, you can't now ban another tank. So something like Doomfist, I'm still worried about wreaking havoc. I mean, you and I have seen in our private lobbies, we've seen it on the international stage. That's a character that can pull back a almost lost fight just by surviving and taking out the entire backline and doing it expediently as well. So Vendetta fills a very similar role there. I think the supports and the game as in general are going to breathe a sigh of relief. But otherwise, Lijiang, a map which has been dominated by other options for a long time, I think.
Yeah, I don't think Altruism, we should be taking what happens in our
that was never the
I'm trying to word this diplomatically here.
Not a true reflection of it.
Yeah. You and I get punched into the lake by the Doomfist all the time, and you know how I feel about that here. But at the competitive level, the game is completely different here. So while we might see certain different things be issues for us as opposed to these higher level players, of course, but I think the metagame is still really leaning into Zarya at the moment, so it wouldn't surprise me to see her be a kind of focal point that both teams oscillate around. And then it really depends on which particular maps we get on Lijiang Tower, and then also on the different playstyles of the teams. Now, historically, Altruism, as you and I know, South Africans have never been particularly ones to follow the meta with any particular strength, right? Kind of have our own thing going on. We will know the meta, we'll understand it to a certain degree, but we don't necessarily grind the meta out in the same way that some of the top level European teams might. So yes, a certain hero might be the strongest hero on paper, but in practice, particular play styles and particular hero player combinations might come to the fore a little bit more frequently. There was mention of Sterling being a big old dirty soldier main. I don't see that changing, but we'll have to see in this different setting now. Playing against local teams, you can kind of leverage that. He's been on some of the strongest or one of the strongest teams for as long as we can remember, where he can kind of leverage that and play whatever he wants to do, because he's going to have the team that can pick up the slack if there is one. But here he might be okay with being a little bit more flexible, and he does have the flexibility within him here. And I'm just kind of using Sterling as a case study here, an obvious example. It's true for any player in any team, but South Africans especially, we tend to not follow the meta with such extreme diligence as compared to some other teams.
And I think that's a result of us being so insular. You know, they say it's kind of outside of the European or the Asian or the North American region. We do our own thing. We come up with it. And we have had this long time to incubate now. So I think we've picked up a lot of individual flavor here. And so that's why the show match is exciting to me, is how well does our South African spice come up against the Norwegian cool-hearted, cool-headed discipline that it comes from being on a more exposed international market. So I'm excited to see this. I think that, you know, when it comes to only having 2 hero bans these days, a lot of these guys are used to competitive where there's 4, or it doesn't dictate as much what the meta or what the playstyle is going to be. If you want to run a dive and you were going to run a Vendetta, you can get away with a Venture. You can do something with a Genji if you really want to get into the back line there. Zarya still works very well with both of those. So it doesn't remove the options, but it does kind of refine it. And in this case, something that I don't think we've talked about enough is Zwoom. Zwoom on tank is a highly aggressive individual from local teams, has been backed up by people, but like no disrespect to anyone else in South Africa, there's a reason why we've got Sterling and Condi now on DPS. When Zwoom's used to buying 2 minutes of space, because that's what his team is used to, when everyone's going to be dead in 30 seconds after the monkey smacks the first person in the face, it changes the tempo. And I'm really excited to see what someone who has that sort of instinct like Zwoom does and how well he's impactful.
Yeah, I think that is one of the things I'm interested to see. Individual hero matchups, player matchups rather. Zwoom is a dominant force in South African Overwatch, has been for multiple years now. I remember once, must have been 4 years ago or something, Defect in one of our podcasts that we had said Zwoom is the best tank in the country by far, comfortably. And that hasn't changed since then. And in fact, I think it's only gotten more stark, the difference between Zwoom and the other tanks in South Africa. So when he comes up against European tanks who grind, who play at the top level, not just in competitive play, but in scrims and whatever their own competitive teams are, how does he stack up? That's going to be a fascinating part of all of this. How do our players stack up man for man against some of the best players in Europe? And I look forward to seeing, one way or another, where we sit, just not just from a team perspective, but from an individual player as well.
What's also interesting to me is our 2 supports. Melody and Karma are not names that I've seen 20 years ago, 10 years, definitely not 20 years
20
ago.
years ago.
Like the 10 years ago, the 5 years ago, it feels like that in South African Overwatch. But these are 2 people, and it's going to be very difficult to kind of see where they calibrate versus the direct opposition. Support versus support is not typically the head-to-head matchup that we see, but how long they can survive against a Zwoom level threat or a Condi level aim. Now, really, if you don't get your positioning right, you're done. That's it. You're out of this competition, and you lose your support early, the entire team fight crumbles.
Yeah, for sure. You kind of, the small mistakes kind of get emphasized and maximized. Stuff that you could get away with against weaker teams get punished absolutely, and that goes for not just the supports but also the DPS. I mean, often the matchup is your flex support versus some of the DPS. That's the one that kind of ends up expressing itself a lot of the time. So it kind of, I know this team will have been scrimming against high level teams. I know that they would have been exposed to this level of play in some capacity, but the lights and the cameras are on you now. Yes, there's not anything on the line here in a big way, but we are kind of, the pressure does kind of ramp up just that tiny bit now, that there is a little bit of emphasis on these maps. So I look forward to seeing how South African team responds to that, how they come into this, and then how they go out of it as well. I think it's going to be a big learning experience for them, and I think that's something they can take away from this, no matter what the result is at the end of it all.
At the end of the day, we're aiming towards more international competition. That's always a great focus. It's an awareness of the world beyond our borders. And it's kind of a unifying point for our region as a whole. So, guys, we are unfortunately going to turn this into... Okay, nice. We've had to be talking for so long, but the action is here, as promised. We go into map number 1. A reminder, first to 4, not best of 4. And then we are going to be starting on Lijiang, the home And yeah, I mean, Sun Phoenix.
Who's that?
Map. No one. Don't worry about it.
You're cheating on me. What's going on?
I mean, control center, explosions, close quarter fighting, and home of Zarya, I would say, is a pretty strong pick to come out here.
Yeah, that would be my expectation as well. It's a map historically you've seen, kind of oscillate around the Reinhardt pick. Not super hot at the moment. So as I say that, though, your boys were, posturing to come out of the door with that. They're going to leverage the May as well. And this is what I was talking about a little bit about the South African team. They're going to do their own thing. No matter what the meta says, no matter what's strong, what's not strong. Iceland, with a little bit more of a meta composition, kind of leverage that Symmetra for a little bit of extra push towards the point. Probably will switch out. They've already got the Sojourn. Maybe look to something like a Tracer. Maybe that would have been the Vendetta's role had she still been in the game. Let's see how things unfold here. Eyes on Condi on the May. That could be a key pick here going into the first map.
And D.Va's not great to be the one that you catch with the May wall. It's fine in this top corner, but it's still so much mobility to get out. Very interesting to see Melody out here on Mizuki, one of the new 5 heroes, and not one that's seen a lot of favor, has gotten some buffs recently. Sterling takes a chunk of damage. No picks as of yet coming out. D.Va decides to fly their way through, going to try, actually avoids the pin there. May wall is out though, so a bit of pressure being applied here. And South Africa picks up a couple of kills. Zoom on the other side is managing to get down Gingerfall, but really close fight between both of these teams. South Africa being rebuffed a little bit. So Iceland picks up our first percentage.
Yeah, a couple of key picks there happening away from where the tanks were battling. Condi dropping early. And you kind of see the weakness of the Mizuki here. Very cooldown dependent from a healing perspective. Not having that cooldown to keep Zoom alive. But now they push forward once again here. The Rhinos looking for some way in. But a lot of pressure coming out from the Sojourn on the right. And you can see how they're set up to kind of set up a crossfire here, the Iceland team.
The crossfire isolates targets and Zoom decides to head towards the low ground. The May wall was also there to separate off the fights, but no picks coming out as of yet. Still Iceland in full control here. D.Va is going to get yoinked to safety, and the pulse bomb on the back of Zoom. That disintegrates what push South Africa could bring in. Now it's get out with whatever is alive and see them immediately retreat back towards their door.
Ooh, Sterling wins the duel, though. That'll feel pretty good. Very confidence-based player, I feel like, Sterling. So if he can get ahead of the game, he'll really, really start to pop off here. Pushing forward once again. No ultis to work with just yet, and that's going to be a big problem for the South African team here. Orion has the ultimate available. They've got George's Kitsune Rush as well, and they're going to start with the overclock.
Immediate May wall out there mitigates half that duration. Zoom still commits towards it, and the Mizuki Sanctuary in the middle there absolutely nullifies what's left of the Sojourn ult. So nothing forthcoming for Orion, and the fight continues right now. D.Va has got the self-destruct on the high ground, but threatening down Condi actually manages to switch targets and takes out Kamsa. That's a huge amount of the healing. In fact, all of the healing evaporates behind Zoom. He's going to be the last one to be taken out here at the end. Condi picked up as well, and South Africa again yet to decisively win a fight, but they've got ults online now.
And this is kind of what I was worried about, ult. Just a little bit of better decision making over the course of a long drawn out team fight from Iceland. Able to find targets, not lose out early on, and slowly pick off the South African players as the fight wears on. Coming in with a lot of ults though, 4 ults, and they're going to start with the charge at the point. Just get that touch. They've got the overclock. They've got the shatter as well, should they need to use it.
There's no shield to get in the way now, no way to block this. South Africa's picked up 2 kills on the other side. It's similar to, and unfortunately it's once more the supports. Yes, May is very good at the self-sustain, and Sterling doing a great job here of getting that natural respawn. Oh, there's no way the Tracer escapes it. Instead, D.Va commits in right now. Pulse bomb goes out, doesn't get anything. Condi picks up a kill and Swarm the charge across there. Force the D.Va self-destruct. It's going to be a blizzard over the top, trying to confirm it. Somehow South Africa still in control of the point. And gather support, start for the reinforce.
Nice work from South Africa there. A few key picks, that pick on the Tracer there, just to prevent the recontest from being too much of a problem. Zoom needs to be careful here, but he's got the shatter. They will know that Iceland, so they know not to get too aggressive here without expecting that. George, not at the Kitsune Rush, but they do have the sound barrier. So Green might play this a little bit defensively, force out the shatter, and use the sound barrier to keep the team healthy here. Moving forward now, they're going to try and flank around the edge here. Going to get the job done just yet, splitting up a little bit here, but they've pulled back South Africa, looking just to cover off that flank, but switching back now once again. This is smart play from Iceland. They're splitting up to prevent the shatter from getting too much down, but they're looking to get aggressive here for South Africa.
Trying to find a target, but South Africa disciplined as well. Turns around, zooms back on the point, and ready to take that head-to-head battle. Both the supports fall again, and not before the orbital ray comes down, so a little bit of sustain, but this is going to have to be South Africa. Manages to get one pin. Orion is kept lighting up, as is Sterling, but Zoom eventually going to go down. So South Africa's last fight, they still didn't manage to get off their kills that they wanted. Orion is deadly on this, and it's you got to say, Sun Phoenix, it's this ability to take the off angles and split the fight so much that Iceland is using to their full advantage.
Yeah, really, really solid cerebral play from Iceland. Their ultimate, just kind of letting the South Africans take whatever space they want to take and slowly picking them apart from the various cross angles that they're taking. They're not afraid of giving South Africa the space, which is the sign of a very, very solid, well put together team playing with a lot of confidence. So Iceland will feel good coming out of that, but South Africa, plenty to work with there. They were not steamrolled, they were not dominated, but now it's a completely different game strategically and in terms of your hero compositions. Here's Zoom out on the monkey. They're looking to dive here with Condi on the tracer. So an interesting switch up here from the South African team.
I like this. If you're going to do this anywhere on Lijiang, the Gardens are the best place for it. And right now, we were certainly seeing that our DPS were holding their own. They were able to take those trades, take those jewels, and it's just the supports now, keeping them alive while Zoom disappears to go be aggressive. I like the pickup of the Kiriko. It's able to follow a lot better. Just needs to be careful about TPing into some of the aggressive positions. Oh, the battle between Palmer does eventually lose out to gravity, but both the Tracer and the Kiriko, they're fighting it out. It's going to be Iceland to clean up the fight by the end of it, but some cute little mechanics coming out and being exhibited by both sides.
Yeah, I worry that Zoom might not feel like the monkey's the pick here, to be honest. You can kind of see the pressure is under at all times without really being able to pressure anyone in the backline. Lucio's not really a good dive target. Kiriko neither are the DPS, so you might see how it goes and then switch up pretty soon, but you can kind of see that Iceland's got the run of the game, and yeah, this is what I'm talking about. No fear for the Sojourn here.
Everyone has got mobility, but it is the space that was needed. Double kill comes out at the beginning here. Sterling has lost out to his counter. The rest of South Africa still alive and is looking to put on a bit of aggression, rotating round and round. George off the edge. Don't know what happened there. TP gone wrong, it seems. But South Africa will pick up the percentage at least. And hopefully, you know, Kiriko is one of those characters that comes back fast, at least.
I think that was just a reset out. I think once they lost the Diva, credit to Melody, by the way, we didn't catch it, but getting the boop kill on the Diva, that's a, 750 HP boop that Melody pulled off there, and that pretty much won the team fight on its own. Iceland putting back 19%, 20 on the clock here for the South African squads. They'll be feeling good with Condi's Pulse Bomb at the ready as well. Sound Barrier almost ready to go. It's going to be a big out fight.
It's a nice angle to go in with the Pulse Bomb. Does force the rest of Iceland forward. They're quite happy to go there now, trying to take out the Sojourn. Sterling is going to be the first one to fall, but Sojourn's traded across the two teams. It's Melody's gone out, unfortunately, down to a single healer. Kitsune Rush and every other ultimate needed still available here for South Africa. There goes the Kitsune. And they're trying to keep their surviving support alive. Unfortunately, goes down for now. Still percentage trickles up for South Africa. And they're dragging it out. This is a big sound barrier to keep the rest of Iceland alive, but matched in kind by South Africa. Still, it's a trickle fight. One person at a time, diving from both sides. And Swoom manages to pop out that ultimate. Does he actually get the boop on the Sojourn? Tracks it the whole way through, separates off from the health pack and winning this duel. Even drags the Lucio into it. South Africa, though, give up the point. This is the big point. The big problem is Iceland now managing to clean off everything else while Zoom's on a tangent.
Zoom going down means that's the end of that. Melody will bring the team back towards their own spawn here, but Iceland, again, a long drawn-out team fight that they just get the better of from the trades. So struggling a bit South Africa here. Again, I'm not that convinced by the monkey, but let's see what Zoom can get done here into the overclock.
Does open up an aggression, and certainly the good go call for the team, and they're walking in behind it in the Kitsune Rush, managing to pick up the one support already, and immediate pressure on the point right now. Force out the Tracer, actually somehow sprays and gets a kill. That should be enough for South Africa to bring it back, and they're actually winning the percentage duel as well.
We cast a little bit of Rocket League altruism. That's a calculated moment right there, if I've ever seen one. Oh, Pulse Bomb.
Oh my goodness!
Good. The call as well to keep himself healthy. Condi firing on all cylinders here. Worth noting, Condi is playing from the UK, I believe, so he does have normal human ping, unlike what the South Africans are playing with here. Is a South African-born player, hence why he qualifies. But good work from South Africa, and they might take his first point. But Diva might have something to say about that.
Leads up where the team is coming from, and the rest of South Africa is ready for the zoom goes down. Oh, that's terrible at the beginning. This has to be just drag out everything. Die on the point now, the call here for South Africa, and trickle anyone that you can. Cost a couple of ults for Iceland, so very neutral fight coming in, and percentage is still to touch.
Yeah, Sterling deciding he had enough of that team fight before it really got started there. You know, you can't kill me if I sort myself out. They do push forward now. Zoom almost up towards the Primal Rage. Melody has the sound barrier here, so if they can find a pick or two, they've got the resources to try and win this out. But you can see the pressure Zoom is put onto. You can't just dive into the center mass like that, so he has to take a bunch of damage, has to jump back towards his team here. The angles are not really there from this position to find purchase with the monkey, but he will go straight into the mix.
And they go for it. Sound barrier comes out from both sides, and that's after Orion has already hit the deck. So South Africa get themselves a nice early lead. They got the ults online as well. But this one, ISL, Crizzy going to be coming forward. The pulse bomb misses it. And there's even a dashing away. Sterling doesn't manage to get far enough, unfortunately. South Africa has got onto the point. They've got control of the point. It's just clear up whatever's left. Lucio being the typical annoyance. Oh, big overclock coming out from the side from Orion, but kind of forced back. Continual pressure in his face means there's no line for a shot, and there's no kills to get out.
Sorry.
Oh.
Impartial observers. Impartial observers.
We are allowed to be biased here, Sun Phoenix. This is the South African team.
All right, I'm over it. I'm over it now. We got the one map win, so now I can be neutral again. Like I said, I was worried we'd get kind of out-competed here, but no, we've taken a map, and I feel good, and nobody will ever take this away from us.
I mean, even if we had lost that, we would have been putting on a damn good show, but it feels so much better now.
Absolutely.
And to have such a nail-biting finish. Woo! Go South Africa.
Go South Africa, but neutral observers, altruism now. From now on, right?
From now.
Checkpoint now. Now we're neutral observers. And we look into this. South Africa not feeling like they need to change anything. I suppose it makes sense. Don't fix what ain't broke. And we'll have to see whether they can get the job done again here into what has been a very consistent Iceland composition. And you can understand why. Honestly, it doesn't feel like their comp is any of the issue here. It honestly felt like they were losing 1v1s on occasion, which is not what I was expecting to say after map number 1 here.
No. But now, again, working together, a good aggressive push towards the point at the beginning means that they've got the positional advantage as they can now bait in the rest of the Iceland team onto the point. Lots of space to flex around, but Sterling pinned against the wall. There's just no kills coming out as a result all the time in the world here. Everyone's staying alive. Nice dash away. Condi is on the chase, so looking for this Kiriko, and there's the kills coming out afterwards. But that's the time it takes Condi to get that one kill. Everyone else behind them has fallen, and Iceland take point number 1.
Yeah, kind of comfortable there. And again, I know I keep harping on about it, but you can see the pressure Zoom is under here. You can't man up against the Diva. She'll just kill you with the micro missiles. You kind of have to find an angle on the back, and he's trying to buy space for his DPS to do damage, and it seems to have worked on Gardens. But we can see the difficulty you have here on Night Market now. Got to push through this choke, got to try and find targets, and Diva, she can just do whatever she wants around the map.
We just need to get Melody to point and get a couple of boops off the side there. Oh, no. That's next fight. Melody is going to have to get in there, but a couple of ults now coming out from Iceland. Only flies for the stick, but it gets eaten. Nom nom nom. That's the power of the Diva. South Africa now need to make sure they don't trickle this out. This might actually be too far for Ginger Refall there, but gets out and still no punishment coming through.
Yeah, it's been very good work from the Iceland supports. George and Green Kachu have been keeping players alive for just long enough to secure kills. And there we see again Ginger Rayful punching through onto Melody there. Not quite at that sound barrier yet. I think you've just got to call this team fight here, because now they can do whatever they want here. Pressure on the backline. That's no healers for the green team. And that's it for this team fight. South Africa forced back once again. Condi trying to make a nuisance of himself here, though.
Trying to mitigate at least a couple of percentage points, but at least returns back to the team fight in a good moment. Gets taken down eventually, though, and Unfortunately, did not expect everyone from Iceland to be standing at the doorway. Now it becomes the problematic area. The
Where do we go
6%, just try to get to the point. There goes the sound barrier, keeps everyone else alive, and Zoom does actually commit that rage, but everyone else, Karma picks up a nice kill. This is looking better than expected for South Africa, considering it was the boom. Oh my god, Melody does it again!
Such good work from the Mercy there, from the Lucio rather. Been under pressure all game and finally got revenge there in a big way. Karma picks up their second kill of the team fight, and now Crizzy, last man standing. We've seen Condi be a nuisance. Now it's Crizzy's turn, but Orion back now in the mix. Melody taken down once again. The point will flip, but the fight is not won just yet for Team South Africa.
I don't want to end this quickly. They do not do well in those long extended team fights, and they've got the 2 DPS ultimates. Get that Diva out of mech and provide some opportunity for Sterling to have some sight lines. Iceland doing a good job again of surrounding the point, though, taking an option and an angle. One support down, Sterling shortly to follow afterwards, and this is South Africa. They've got to trickle this out. This is their last fight. They are on 99%, and they do not have the big percentage. Oh, in fact, they've given it away already before their last person even dies. And this may be map number 1. This is a desperate pop of the overclock there. Some desperate attaches as well. South Africa keeps it alive for a little bit longer. But Iceland had map number 3 far more convincingly in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Never really looked under pressure. The point did flip in the middle there, but that was a big out push from South Africa. You kind of expect to win with that much in the bag as George picks up the player of the game here on the Kiriko. Iceland coming in with a plan here, altruism compositionally for sure. Not really responding to what's happening in the map, not really what's responding to which map they picked up. And that's not that unexpected, right? I think they came in with a plan, strategy, set and ready to go, knew how to flex and adapt that strategy within itself. They're not really feeling the need to respond too much more beyond that. So they've got their style and it's working for them very well. They did lose that middle map, and South Africa will be really, really happy with that, of course. I mean, we made it very clear where our allegiances lied, if we haven't made it clear since the beginning of the cast. But impressive work from the South Africans there to take that Gardens map away from Iceland. It was 99-99 in the end, but they won the key team fight at the end that secured the point there. And like I said, just before we started that final map on Night Market there, surprising me, it was not a case of bigger, faster, stronger at all. No. That was completely the wrong read. From my perspective, we have the players, we have the talent, we have the skill on a player-to-player basis, especially as far as the DPS are concerned. I think Condi really showing up in a big way on that Tracer. Sterling, no slouch on the Sojourn either, but I do think Orion might have the better of that matchup, and I think Orion might be a key player for Iceland here as we watch that, on top of the Diva as well. Ginger Rifle, I think it is. So those are going to be 2 players I'm keeping my eyes on. That matchup is key, and of course, Iceland support doing an incredible job of staying alive under pressure. Also, we saw a lot of moments there where the Diva or Orion were under a lot of pressure from the South African players, and they were kept alive for just long enough to turn the fight. So all around top play from Iceland, but South Africa, they're here to play today.
Well, that's the nice thing. I think that Iceland fully respect the 1v1 capabilities of our players, and so their entire playstyle is to avoid a 1v1. The Diva is incredible at moving between the parties that are all separated and taking those different alpha angles. No one's rushing ahead. Everyone's just kind of looking for a pick, and then they just back off. They don't have that option. That's why our team fights are dragging out for so long at the beginning before anyone gets a kill, is because Iceland's in no hurry. They are cool, calm, collected, walk their way in there when it's ready. The Diva realizes the Sojourn, Orion's under pressure, and that 1v1 versus Sterling is a little too close. Suddenly Sterling's dealing with the Orion and the Diva Ginger Refill. That's not a fight that you will expect any Sojourn in the world. I mean, Sterling's great, but you're not taking on that fight. And so it's that kind of death by 1,000 cuts, chip away at the edges of a very central nuclear South African team. So I do want to see some diversity. Either we need to kind of like take that ball and smack one side of it, or go to somewhere else. We go to map number 2. So we talk about the fact that control points are very, very static around the center. Now we get moving. An escort map is kind of where Zoom, I feel especially, is going to thrive a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, not to kind of belabor the point here, Altruism, but I do worry about the reliance on the Winston pick here. It's not, I don't feel like it's a particularly hot hero from a meta perspective. It kind of gets outcompeted by the Diva in that direct matchup. There's not a lot of targets to dive if you want to go that route. So I wonder if he wouldn't be better served playing something else here as well. But look, they've got their strategy, they've got their plan. Let's see how it plays out as we take a look at our bans here. Altruism, South Africa, they take the Ashe out here. A fascinating ban given that they did not show a single millisecond of Ashe in that previous match, and Iceland take out the Brig. Similarly, unusual ban here. Clearly, both teams feeling like this is where their compositions might look to go on Watchpoint Gibraltar.
The Brig ban to me is anti-dive. That is the big thing that it screams towards me. And so Iceland's already shown that they're capable of running the Diva. Pretty sure they could throw in a Hazard in there, or maybe even a Doomfist, potentially Wrecking Ball. Brig is the biggest counter in this sport lineup, and they've already shown their hand in that regard as well. They are going for our supports. Karma and Melody have the toughest job on the South African team right now of just staying alive. And, that's the other problem with the Monkey is if you're going to commit your bubble to keep yourself alive on the jump in, you now come back to your team. You're not really going to be keeping that 2 HP support alive. So I want to see a little bit of a change up, and especially now it almost feels like Iceland's double committing to dive for me.
We'll have to see though, because what we have now that we didn't before is that we've got the Zarya Vendetta combo back in, right? Vendetta back in the mix here. Maybe they play the Vendetta over the Tracer on Crazy. We'll have to wait and see what they do from a stylistic perspective. But the Ashe ban is an interesting one for me. I might have taken out the Sojourn, but perhaps feeling like actually Sterling, we prefer giving him the opportunity to take that matchup to the fore, rather than trying to kind of crowbar yourself into something else because you're worried about what your opponents are doing. So that's the kind of game you play here with the bans. Take a look at the compositions of the Ultras, and we've got some nonsense here. What am I watching? We've got Echo and Jetpack Cat here for the one team, with Melody back on the Mizuki, but we'll see what they come out of the door with.
I'm actually terrified of this Iceland roster right now. I think this could be a sleeper pick because this is Dive 3.0, or actually let's make this Dive 1.0 for 2026, because you've got your Diva to kind of take all the damage and move around constantly. Echo wants to be in the back line. Tracer wants to be in the back line. Now you've got a Kiriko who can TP with them, and the Jetpack Cat to finish off kills. Oh man, or break that point so the Echo can get the finishing beam through. This is South Africa going to have to be taking on a million fronts, and immediately Zoom coming out with that Winston blown up, and definitely this needs to be the fastest change of Winston that we've seen so far.
Sterling on the cast as well. That's very interesting. Both teams now running the Jetpack Cat, by the way. We see your meta and we say no thank you. Just putting the pressure on from the high ground here, but again, Zoom struggling a bit on the Winston into the Diva. Why not ban the Diva? Maybe you save that for later, but it seems like a hero that you'll have to take out of the game eventually here. The kill from Sterling to open things up earlier. They're not really taking any space here as the Jetpack Cat zooms around her own backline here. Pressure now being applied to the enemy backline here, and Gunner, though, he opens his account. He gets that opening kill onto Sterling, but they do trade it out here. Lots of trades, in fact, for both teams. The attacking team will feel pretty comfortable to clean things up now, and they do just that.
That's actually huge from South Africa, finally getting the targets. It's the slow, stagnated pace that comes with Winston is I'm going to jump and then I'm going to wait a couple of seconds because I need to actually be on that hill over there. But they get themselves into position between Zoom and Condi. They decimate the back line. That was a surgical precision, and they get a lot of payload progress. Now getting a kill off the beginning. In fact, both DPS is taken out. They need to worry about this Diva in the back line, but I think the Iceland realizing they don't have the support to back it up as well and give up the point. Map, this is a great progress here from South Africa, and I think they're going to keep it going.
Yeah, they've got the opportunity now to kind of trickle things out further here. Looking for more targets, the Winston, but not able to find anything here. Here's Room. Few ultis coming up soon for both teams here. Catnapper is what Jetpack Cat's ult is called, for those of you wondering. Or pressure on the Anna. Nice work from both the tank and the DPS, and the pressure being put on. But Sterling, once again, finding picks on the Cats. That's his third pick in as many team fights here, and they're turning things around out.
Oh yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Karma was not in the place where any Anna wants to be and was the sacrificial lamb, but it's baited Iceland in, and this is South Africa. They've got themselves a really nice backup option where they are playing with one mind right now. There are a million things to watch out for from Iceland, and then Queen Catcher has been doing a great job on this Jetpack Cat, but I would argue that Melody being there step for step or flight for flight. Here comes the Catnapper straight away onto Karma, hindered out of it though. Sterling has got that cast in instead. The reverse Catnapper tries to come through there. It's not going to be enough though. South Africa's
Jetpack Cat stolen as well.
Oh goodness, Iceland, they come back. They clear up, but the payload, this is why the fight was so easy. Swoom, the most silent monkey I've ever seen.
Yeah, stealthy monkey on the point here. They won't secure the cap though, but they're actually committing a lot here. Primal Rage used as well. The South African team thinks they can win this one out, and with Condi getting that pick onto the Echo, they might be right. Sterling returning. Here we go, Alt.
Oh, it is the Sky Noon. It's the late call on the Diva. Does result in the Meg. Goes for the hinder afterwards and somehow still evades that. It's taken out at the end of this though. The payload's still not secured. I thought that was going to be a nice early pull on the trigger, but Iceland with the time to get back.
Yeah, we see the power of the Jetpack Cat there, actually. Quickly able to reinforce. Yes, the gimmick of the Sky Noon, they're not quite coming to fruition, but more than that, it was Sterling being able to get back into the team fight so quickly. And that's probably why they felt like they could commit to that. Not working out though in the end. And again, Iceland, just those micro moments, those micro plays is where the difference lies. As Grizzy and Condi duel things out once again on point. But again, Ginger Ale Rifle gets that opening kill in the team fight, as we've seen them do so often. This Diva is such a problem, Altruism.
That's the big thing. Your Anna really is your weakness here. And you can see why Iceland bans out that break, because that's their entire plan, is to go on that. It's the main majority of the healing. You want to be able to give your Jetpack Cat the space to kind of add into your dive. It's just not that sort of freedom here for the Anna safe in the back line. South Africa are going to have to make sure that they take care of, you know, any of the potential divers that is on offer here from Iceland.
Pressure building here. Zoom looking for targets, unable to find them. Gunner dropping low on the Echo on the high ground. They've got the Catnapper at the ready. Both teams, in fact, ready to bring someone back to the squad here. But the pressure building once again on the back line here. Both players, the support players, are looking to get taken out here. But Sterling, he's the one who drops first. But there we go. Gunner says, I know how to play Anna, and I'll do it better than you. And that's going to be it for this team fight. Condi Zoom finding a couple of kills there in the mix, including from the Pulse Bomb. But that's not going to be enough to turn the fight in South Africa's favor. Iceland once again finding the pressure points and twisting the knife.
Yeah, South Africa seems to have wanted to just kind of split the team fight, thinking that they could force the point. If everyone's going to be required to dive onto my supports, then we pick up 1 or 2 quick kills and push that payload the last little bit. Now, unfortunately, it keeps rescinding. That 5 meters turns into undefined. And oh no! Oh, Karma, I'm actually feeling sorry for you at this stage. It's been such a target there.
2 players going down. It's not looking good for the South African team. A minute left though. You've got enough time. Just take Anna back up just to reset yourself up. But they're not getting the opportunity to do that at the moment. Ginger Rifle just keeping the pressure on where the setup is. Sterling needs to be careful here not to get taken down, and this is the power of the Diva. You have a 6-second cooldown on your jump as opposed to the 8 or 10 seconds, whatever it is, on the Monkey. You're just so much more mobile.
Now you force Swoom into the back line. Decided to commit all the way. Would it be amazing if you could pick this up? No kills forthcoming just yet. Everyone trickling down, but 2 mobiles. Bit of a trade goes on in the back line. Karma finally getting a kill of their own. And
wow.
Right now, it's actually a very even trade between the 2 teams. The big part is that for once, South Africa has their supports alive. Goes for the sleep. Going to get taken down just as the biodegradable grenade was coming back. Here comes the fly. We've still got this. There was every ultimate dropped by South Africa in the previous fight. Now it's just desperation to try and keep point 2 number alive.
Oh, Sterling. Good work from the Cassidy. He'll have to touch, and it'll be a big play to take this one over the line here, Sterling, but not able to get the job done. But I think South Africa will be happy with that push. I think this is the point where you get stuck most of the time, right before the second point. You've got so much positioning to defend from here on the second point of watch point, and we saw the power of that displayed by Iceland. doing so very, very effectively. So South Africa will know that, yes, they weren't able to secure that cap, but they've got enough to work with here. If they can buy some time on the first point, they'll feel pretty confident that they can hold them on the second. But again, I keep having to bring it up, Altruism, because it keeps being true, but I question this Winston into this composition. Zoom is doing an incredible job of making it work, right? I think we can say that much for free. And again, you look at it and you wonder, okay, maybe this is the best that they have, in spite of the fact that it might seem on paper that it's the best composition. But yeah, I wonder if you wouldn't be better served playing something like the Diva, maybe even like the Wrecking Ball. Not great on this map, of course, but
I think even that would challenge a little bit more.
I mean,
have
he
more
plays
kill confirmation. He's got such a diverse arsenal.
Yeah, so we'll see. They got it to work on Li Jiang, but again, I worry that the Diva is just going to have their run of proceedings coming into the second map. But they've got a chance to set up here for the second point and keep the first point, for as long as they can here, with a composition that looks very similar to what they ran on Li Jiang Tower.
I think Melody and Karma are both just tired of having the Diva in their face right now. So they give themselves some mobility, but it does reduce the raw healing output that they can. Maybe realizing that the more pick-based fights and scattered engagements are pretty much all that Iceland is offering them right now. Is Iceland getting that payload progress? There's no real damage being done from above, and eventually there is going to have to come with this engagement. Everyone obviously turns around, and Iceland being split off a little bit. This could be where South Africa needs to try and pick a side and engage onto that, but kind of being rebuffed even on their own high ground position here.
They look to take the fight, actually, Iceland. They're not happy just to walk it through. They know they can't just keep going on the point. So they look to engage now and push South Africa back, and they do just that for the time being. Now they control the high ground room. His little leggies are too long. He can't quite get up onto there. You'd think a monkey could mantle, but not this one. Sterling, he does demech Ginger Eiffel, though. That is a huge pick in the context of this team fight, but Ghana finding kills all over the map. It is taken down, so South Africa feel like they should be able to win this one out, especially with Karma finding heads like that.
Beautiful. Payload did make a little bit more progress throughout it, but not enough to really justify Iceland hoping that was worth the very scattered, drawn-out team fight that they had on offer. And Swoom taking... This is what you mean, is Monkey maybe not the best choice, but Swoom doing a great job of playing a Monkey in a difficult situation and not giving up high ground just yet.
Oh, Sterling taken down, unfortunately. You need to be careful here, the South Africans, but they're going to commit to sound barrier here. They feel like they can get something out of this team fight here. Caught almost towards that final point here. Echo in the monkey form, looking to take down the Kiriko. Not able to find that kill just yet. The pressure building on the South African squad, but the revive should come through. Hello, Condi says here, have this delicious meal, Diva, and Diva happily obliges here. South Africa under pressure now, especially with Zoom going down.
Oh, we're getting some kills ourselves, though. That's a big part. There is the remake, but the point is still not claimed as of yet. So 1 meter to go, and there it goes. It's unfortunately C9. I don't know if officially, because they were rebuffed in the doorway, but I mean, Condi, like we gotta get one of those bingo cards, and every time Condi gets a slicky bomb eaten, that's a shot or something.
Yeah, I'd suggest the drinking game, but I don't know that our livers could handle that at this point. He is just desperately feeding that. We saw the... I'm going to call it the magic slash. Please don't hurt me. I know we looked it up earlier, but the Vendetta now in play here from Condi. Banned in the first game by South Africa. Brought into play now by the South African DPS player. He's looking to counter out this Diva as much as possible. Interesting that the sword can headshot. A peculiar kind of aspect of this hero that is hard to get used to, but you can see the power of it immediately. You can see why it was banned as Condi looks to put the pressure on, but Greencatcher, who's he got? He's got the monkey, and Zoom says goodbye to his team.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be an environmental kill. Sometimes it's just bring it back to your team and separate them from the healing, and now just clean up crew. Assassinate everyone else left along the back line. South Africa not with a lot of space to work with if they're going to try and reinforce this. So every stagger kill is huge. Iceland coming back. They've got Ginger Refalls self-destruct to kind of clear and stop that last minute touch. Swoom comes back on the Diva themselves, but there's too much damage from too many places. Oh, what a big sound barrier. This could be a time here.
too late on the sound barrier though to keep the Diva alive, but it's going to give space for Vendetta to get to work here with the big old sword. Finds one. Crazy though, picking up kills on the Tracer. The self-destruct clears the point, and it's all over here for map number 2. Iceland take that one comfortably in the end.
You know, good fights. I think South Africa had their moments to, especially for point number 2, clear them out. I'm thinking about the attempt at the high noon carried by the Jetpack Cat. That was a great moment, and it looked like we had everything we needed to. But Iceland is quick, both in their rotations when they're trying to put on aggression, their early decision making where we saw them, they push the payload underneath and then quickly as one unit kind of stream up on the sides there. Iceland is a fast and mobile team that's very difficult to track down, and South Africa maybe not bigger, harder, stronger, but half a step behind.
Absolutely. Telling to me though what they ended up doing in those final moments, Altruism, they end up going onto that Diva, they end up going onto that Vendetta. So I wonder now if we might see the complexion of their composition change as we head into map number 3, because it feels like they were winning in spite of the monkey, not because of the monkey. And again, I'm going to keep hopping, as long as it's true, Altruism, I'm going to keep bringing it up. But I was happy to see Zoom putting himself in a position where he could actually match that Diva man to man. Now the question is, Ginger Rifle is probably like, sick, I'm so good at this hero, I'm going to dominate you now, especially if you don't have some kind of matchup differential. Because, I mean, clearly this is what Iceland do, this is how they play. Until South Africa force them to do something different, they're going to keep running this composition into the ground. They did show us a different complexion here, using the high ground effectively, using the airspace effectively with the Echo and with the Jetpack Cat. And you saw how they were able to then leverage the Diva as well, using those heroes to kind of use the Diva as a spear that penetrates the South African backline and finds those opening picks. Playing excellently around that. But yeah, South Africa kind of feel like they're a little bit behind the meta here, a little bit behind on that level, which is good. I think Altruism, you want to be behind there, not in a raw skill, raw talent, raw power. There's nothing you could do about that at this stage. You're just worse. Unfortunately, there's nothing more you can do about that, but that's not the case. So I think Smiley and the rest of the South African team and coaching staff will look at this and be like, cool, this is what top European teams are doing. How do we mitigate? How do we adapt? How do we replicate if need be? So going to map number 3, we'll see now how do they adapt. Iceland have made the template clear. South Africa, now they have to respond again.
One of the nice things is, like you say, it's almost just a thinking problem. It's a puzzle to figure out right now. Yeah, get good is not constructive criticism, unfortunately, and so it's certainly not something you can change on the fly. But we've also seen, you know, one of the big things panel and us, we all chatted about it beforehand, is the prevalence of Zarya and how powerful Zarya is right now. So if Iceland has got the one trick of our Diva is amazing, thankfully there is a strong counter, semi-counter to it right now. The airspace that Iceland's also throwing out there does kind of make it a little bit harder for Zarya to get all the value that they want. But we've got Vendetta. Condi has teased us with it. Zarya is really good against Diva. There are other options. Gibraltar is just not a map that's something you really want to be running into, unfortunately, with all the levels. But there's still lots of Overwatch ahead. We're 2 maps down, at least 2 more to go if Iceland take both of those. And South Africans, we're known for adapting.
Yeah, and like you say, Zarya is poop on that map, Gibraltar. Like, you having a bad time. I play a lot of Zarya, and you just watch. That's a fun game to watch because you're just on the ground. Well, it's like playing Rocket League when you're a new player against players with a lot of experience. You just sit on the ground and you look and say, wow, look at all the pretty colors.
Put a bubble over that guy over there because they're actually doing something.
You kind of hope somebody comes into your zone of control, but we might see that now as we head into map number 3. It is going to be Blizzard World, much more of a Zarya playground. We know that they've got Condi wanting to bring out the Vendetta. Peach whispered in our ear in that match, our producer, Condi's favorite hero, the Vendetta. So we might see more of that. Did cop a bit of a nerf, as we heard earlier, but still plenty strong enough, I think, in a competitive environment. So we'll have to wait and see. Changes forthcoming from the South African squad, though. Sterling is out. Apparently, no, let me not say that. He is out here. Jacob coming in. Melody out and One King coming in. Jacob will come in as a support, and One King will come in as a DPS. My memory of the One King is that he plays a ton of Genji. I don't expect that's what we'll be playing here necessarily, but that's kind of where his skill lies. Condi, I wonder if we'll see him now pick up that Sojourn, or whether King's got that in his locker. So that's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic changes now on the South African team, given that they can't rely on Sterling's hit scan prowess. South Africa, they've got bans. They're saying, we can beat the Diva, I promise you. Show us, please, because that Diva is looking pretty hot at the moment. But they take out the Cassidy. Interesting, given that it feels like that's a hero that is better for them. And then Iceland, they take out the Ana. We did see Karma on the Ana just a little bit there, and deciding they don't really want to deal with that. And that is a kind of ban that makes sense. So Cass out, Ana out here as we head into Blizzard World.
The Ana ban is a little bit more surprising to me. I mean, yes, Karma did show prevalence with that, but didn't ever feel like it was a problem. That Diva was a little too good at managing that there for them to prioritize it going forward. But it might be the throwaway ban. They want to keep all the tanks available. Might be a big aspect towards that. So, ban something we weren't worried about and see where we're going. South Africa banning Cassidy is, as well. I mean, we have seen it being used before, but it doesn't have to be. So it almost feels like both these teams just securing themselves picks more than, and not wanting to give away their strategies more than decisively looking to counter.
Yeah, it's odd to me, the South African banning strategy here, because if I'm there and I'm looking at what they're doing on the other side, it's I mean, maybe, but
Vendetta does struggle a little bit more with it.
True,
maybe.
But I'd almost want you to force them to do that then, Iceland, from a South African perspective. Like, okay, force them off what they're doing now and onto something like a cash. Prove that you've got it in your locker. Because right now we're banning like we know you have it, but you haven't shown us that yet, So I would rather ban something like your Tracer again. You don't take it out if Condi wants to be playing that, but if he's going to be on the Vendetta, maybe you don't need the Tracer. Unless you're going to Tracer Vendetta. But
Vendetta Genji?
You take the... I mean, I'd be shocked if you see the Genji. I think that hero is so ass at the moment, but let's see. The One King is one to express himself on that hero, like I said. But yeah, I'm taking out the Diva, I'm taking out the Tracer, I'm taking out the Kiriko. Those are my heroes that I'm looking at. What Iceland are excelling off the back of, that are really winning them the game. So we'll have to wait and see here. They do lock in on the defense here, Iceland. They lock in Orion back on the Sojourn here. They've also subbed out Gunner, who played the Echo in the previous round. Orion back in now on the Sojourn as we get a nice zoom in here on Mr. Shimada. On the other side, though, Condi on the Junkrat. We'll see if that actually comes at the door. One King on the Hanzo. Again, we'll see Condi on the Widow. Condi, a very good hit scan player in his own right. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him to actually pull out a hit scan. But with One King on the Sojourn, I imagine he'll go back to the Tracer.
I'm looking at this Vendetta on the other side. Iceland throwing that on defense is audacious, in fact, and certainly someone who can play around these pillars spectacularly well and has got the backup of Zwurm. We've talked about this, friend. This is okay. It is an option, so we're gonna have to see. No big lineups. We don't even get to see the Widow anymore, son.
I wasn't expecting it to come out, actually. He does go back to the Tracer, but Karma finds that opening pick onto the Lucio. And that's immediately going to force Iceland back towards their own point. A Brig does come out here from Jacob, so that ban may have been pretty solid on Gibraltar here, but the pressure is on. Dropping low, Vendetta managed to get back around the corner. They're healing good once again for Team Iceland.
That's big, unfortunately, here for South Africa, because it's a full complement of players coming through. No one staggering out, and this monkey composition has done a spectacular job when they're trying to close that distance and get someone down. Oh my goodness, at the end keeps the Dreamcatcher alive, and it's just millimeters, single digits that is really separating South Africa from that first push coming out successfully.
And maybe that's what bigger, faster, stronger looks like at this level, Altruism. It's those moments right there. That Suzu, just in the nick of time. We saw Condi focusing the Lucio down when the Kiriko, I think it was like 1 HP, just a little bit behind that. So fixating on the wrong target there. And it's just in that millisecond that the wrong decision may have been made, and that pushes Iceland to the victory here. But they're coming in with a few ults almost at the ready here. So the African Zoom almost up towards his ulti. Condi on the Vendetta as well, matching up. So the matchup kind of shifts here a little bit.
And I like that. It gives Zoom a lot more kill power, and has been what's been really missing. Karma, unfortunately, loses out at the beginning, and that's so much healing that goes down. South Africa, though, they're not wanting to worry about the long fight. They're trying to finish this off right now. And again, Condi just single digits, a single healing of Fuda. The difference there about whether he can get the D mech off. South Africa tricking out quite badly now, though. Jacob needs to try and get out of here, and Zoom going to be hot on their heels.
George, by the way, again with a massive Suzu to keep the Diva from going down. But now they're pushed through here. That is a Vendetta out pressure on Ginger Rifle, though. Will take down Zoom, and Crizzy follows up with the kill. And now he's got his run of the land here. Vendetta able to just clean things up here, not hitting that, but it doesn't matter. Finds a kill on the one king there. I think Zoom copped the full brunt of the Vendetta ultimate. I was going to try and say its name, but Lord alone knows what it actually is. But credit to the Diva there and the Vendetta of Iceland finding that kill on Zoom, and it all kind of fell apart from there.
Yeah, again, Crizzy is showing a superb proficiency with this character, and it means that your entire backline is a threat constantly. Zoom not able to give too much. I mean, he's certainly not leaving them on their own. He's constantly around, and I'm trying to get this kill on the Vendetta. Actually, some decent pace behind it. Crizzy goes down at the beginning, and it means that finally this is a huge opening for South Africa. Going to be the jump over the top. The sound barrier dropped alongside the overclock, gives Iceland all the pressure that they need into South African lineup, and Condi going to bear the brunt of that at the end of it. The rally was there to try and keep the rest of South Africa's backline alive, but all of those having dropped out right now. King might have to come back with some sort of massive overclock themselves. Dharma actually picks up a nice kill at the beginning of this, trading out both of the Sojins towards the beginning. Diva mech is low, but low is not enough against this Iceland side. They've got such good rotations. This might be a chance to pick out the Vendetta. Gain but 1 HP towards the side. South Africa, they just extend this out, and the Vendetta ult themselves comes out, picks out the Diva mech. Is that going to actually pick up a kill, though? It does. Karma not able to get out on the other side. It means that there's space for Iceland to reinforce, and King dropping the late ultimate, needs to pick up.
He gets two.
It was the start of something brilliant.
This is still going though now. There's a lot of blue players here and just the one red player. Another Suzu to keep the Kiriko alive, but not for too long. Who's this on the point here? This is a blue player. So that is going to be it here. Not able to get that final touch, Condi. Just not enough in the bag there. And that's the difference between these two teams, ultimate. It's rotations. I think we saw it so clearly on that, especially that final push there. They get one player low, they get them almost down, and then there's a huge rotation from the Iceland squad to keep them healthy. The supports have been rotating excellently. Ginger Rifle on the Diva has been everywhere all at once, and it's just been, that's been the issue for South Africa. Yeah. They just don't quite have the same sharpness on the rotation that Iceland is able to show so far.
Yeah, I don't know if it comes through a lack of communication where, you know, someone's low, and surely at that stage you're screaming out, Condi, Tracer, bro, like that's your job. Go kill that one person. And you could see it there when he was firing from a distance on the Lucio. That was something that psychologically, you're like, that guy's on so little HP that surely my shots are going to be able to clear them, and then I can move on to the next target. So you don't bother looking at another target, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough. It's just, and so 4 really low HP targets disappear. And it, you know, if South Africa, if at the end of this we say that South Africa is 2% behind, I think that's good, but it's really manifesting in a dominant victory so far from Iceland.
100% really. Yeah, look, it's not as dominant as we feared it might be, Altruism, but you can see the difference between a good team and a great team. You know, and I'm sure Iceland are going to go up against teams who feel the way they do to us, to them, if you can follow what I'm saying there.
Levels.
Exactly. So yeah, it's an interesting to see where we stack up, and I'm interested to see where Iceland stacks up as well. That is a kind of transitive properties here, but we got some nonsense here on display. We got the Torbjorn, we've got the Domina, a good hero, strong hero, but struggles against this composition. I think might just get steamrolled here, given Iceland's composition.
I think it does at least provide some sort of cover for your back line there, being able to boot people away. It does well against the D.Va because of the beam, and it makes life harder at least for something like the DPS of Orion to put in damage past that shield. It gives you a zone of semi-safety, and it's kept South Africa alive thus far. They've retreated all the way back to the bench, and I mean, right now they're fighting battles on so many different fronts. It's Condi on his signature hero, though. Oh my god, bingo card 2026. Are we going to see a hammer kill?
We might, Oni. Connie's the kind of player who would go for it. Even if it ends up losing them the game, he'll go for it anyways. But I have to wait and see here. It's actually not a terrible Torbjorn game looking at it. Kind of not a lot of heroes that want to spend time shooting a turret, who could kind of taking damage at the wrong time can really hinder an Echo or a Vendetta. So might end up being a pretty solid pick here, but Domina holding firm here on the front line. D.Va and Co. just making space, just looking for targets on the flank.
Well, it's interesting. Holding firm is kind of statically what we're seeing here out of Zwoom, is ready to take that high ground, force Iceland to push in there, and then steps back, puts up the next line. And so it's a very mobile but strong front line right now that's backing up how much Iceland's wanting to commit into that. And then you commit too much and suddenly there's a Brig sitting on the back line who's now getting nice and aggressive, ready to follow up. Might actually cost them their life, but everyone else from South Africa kind of adapting to the threats as they arrive.
Honestly, I think the strength of this composition isn't the strength of the front line, it's the strength of the back line. The Torbjorn in the back is just not something that D.Va can really look to pressure without getting a ton of pressure themselves. And you can see that they're kind of split here, 50-50. Some players playing behind the Domina, some players playing around the Torbjorn. And if any pressure comes anywhere, they can use the Kitsune teleport to kind of get around. But here comes the pressure with a couple outs.
Oh, this is big right now. It seems that Gingerful actually did eat the Domina ulti. Not even an interaction I knew could happen, but it does stop South Africa. It takes all their ultimates out right now. The King, the one ultimate that they've got left. They got themselves as a bit of a reversal out here from Iceland as they go towards the back line. They've left their Lucio behind, and that's going to prevent a lot of their rotation speed. They lose the Kiriko as well. Why are we playing Tor? Because Condi can actually hit the Cheetos. No. Okay.
There's nobody there. There's nobody there.
You got me excited.
There were a few critical kills there, actually, as they went for the rotation. They lost a few players, and they kind of got stuck there in the back line. Nothing really to play with. And Condi picking up a cheeky kill on the Kiriko, because I think the teleport was at the ready. So unlucky to drop there, George. But, South Africa's gain. Yeah, they look to push forward, though, Iceland now. A lot of else to work with, and they start with the overclock.
Got this replicate coming in from Crizzy on the backline. Crizzy has been someone to watch. They've lost the Wuyong. That's one of the two supports. Our D.Va Mech as well falls and it's kills as everyone tries to scurry for cover. So South Africa under a bit of pressure. They've lost especially both of their DPS. The support still being alive means it's Woom trying valiantly on the front line to do some damage themselves, but cannot sustain through all of this. Iceland had too much in the bank, was able to drop them all, layer them nicely, and pick up map number 3. I don't think there's a recontest yet.
No. Not likely to actually result in anything. Yeah. There's Ginger Rifle picks up that kill. But Iceland, again, I guess this is what bigger, faster, stronger looks like, Ultra. So it looks like inches, it looks like millimeters, it looks like you just win the right engagements at the right time, and that's what we saw here. Crizzy really popped up on the Vendetta on a number of occasions, but it felt like there were so many times where on South Africa's side, Condi would have died in that same situation. Yeah. And that has less to do with Crizzy's prowess on the hero. Not to say that that isn't contributing to why they're winning, but much more to do with especially George's rotations on that Kiriko. So many times, Suzu's coming in clutch, saving the D.Va, saving the Vendetta, and winning them team fights almost single-handedly. Cases where that pick might have been what turned the tide in South Africa's favor. But it not coming meant kill after kill followed, and at the end, they weren't quite able to get over the line on that first point.
Iceland was just able to cycle their players so well. You know, their Kiryu was on one side of a very split up fight and sees suddenly the Vendetta needs some help, gets in there, heals up, and the Diva instead takes over in that back position to help out the support that was in a 1v1 or whatever the micro cases may be. There is just such a fluidity towards the way Iceland is bringing their same team composition. And like you say, we haven't seen much variation coming out there. Throwing a Wuyong towards the end was something strange, but I wouldn't put too much faith in that. Otherwise, it's that we are going to be everywhere. We're going to be where you're not. We're going to be where you're weakest. And we're going to fire in damage from a billion different places and just get out before you really get us locked down at any stage. Maybe that's the point of the Cassidy ban.
Maybe it is, but South Africa, again, I ask myself, what would the Cassidy have contributed there that the heroes they picked didn't, right? They're not a team who oscillates defensively, Iceland, in the sense that they set up around someone or they need the stun from a Cassidy or they feel like it offers that damage. I don't see Orion playing Cassidy in that game, right? I don't think he plays anything other than the Sojourn that he ended up playing. So what do we get by banning the Cassidy? All we do is we take that option away from the 1K, as an example, or Sterling in the game before, who actually had played the Cassidy. So what are we scared of? What is the Cassidy giving that scares us over what we already know we should be scared of, right? It's not
be more scared of the Sojourn, if nothing else.
It's not the devil you know, the devil you don't. It's like, no, we are losing to these heroes. We're not losing to Cassidy. And let's show us, let them show us they can beat us with Cassidy, rather than trying to preempt, but they might go to Cassidy, which might make this really hard to play. Condi saying, look, I'll play Vendetta, but I can't play Vendetta into the Cassidy here. It's I get that. I get it for sure. But it feels like you are currently losing to Vendetta. You're currently losing to Sojourn. You're currently losing to Diva. You're currently losing especially to Kiriko. And the Kiriko I can understand not banning because Karma has looked good on that character, right? But the Diva ban, I'm like, can we ban the something Diva already? Jeez.
I was actually having to go back
to show you that he can do something else. Force him to do that.
And it means that suddenly the monkey might have a place if you're really wanting to push that from the beginning. But
it's a no-brainer for me. But anyways,
I was very surprised. You know, in map number 1, fine, the Dominus banned, and so you can't ban a second tank. We've had that option in both of the previous 2 bans right now. So, what do you have left? If it's a support left, then you ban the Kiriko. If it's a tank, we're going to be going to Esperanza right now, and I don't know, some long sightlines might finally make it viable that the Diva can't get to you, but still kind of want to take it down. Kiri will be powerful here.
There's no map that Diva doesn't excel on. I'll give you that piece of information for free, Altruism. As somebody who plays a lot of Diva, that's my fallback hero. If something's not working, I'll be like, I'll go Diva. That's fine. It'll work, no matter what. Unless I'm up against Zarya and I don't have the space to operate outside the Zarya's zone of control, then I might not play the Diva. But for the most part, the Diva's like, I'm like a midfielder in soccer is the comparison I like to make. I can defend, I can attack, I can be where I need to be at any given moment to support my team or to kind of be the tip of the spear. So you ban the Diva, or you pick the Zarya, or you couple with the plan. Why are we banning the Junker Queen?
Or you just don't.
Why? Just force Ginger Rifle to not play Diva. That's all I'm asking you. Tears in my eyes, Altruism. Force him to do something different. And Iceland's like, let's not even take the risk here against the Torbjorn.
I feel like if ever there was a respect ban, it comes out
100%.
Condi's
a winner. No matter the result here, Condi is a winner today.
Yeah. But the Junker Queen, I do not understand. I must admit. I'm with you on that one. It's not something that I think has been shown, been teased, been relied upon, been... This seems like a random number generator kind of ban to me right now.
It's good on push. It's good on Esperanza.
Sure.
Right? What it also does is it protects the Winston ban. Because Zoom is apparently a one trick today. So that is what it also does. But I almost feel like you could pick Ryan on this map now, right?
Yeah.
You could just go all out brawl for that.
I know Zoom plays a good Doom, and so I would love to see him try that out if he's wanting to go for it. As a
it just seems like they're
counter-monkey
playing the
ban,
monkey, though. Yeah.
the counter monkey ban is the most odd and South African thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In Overwatch.
Yeah, it's peculiar banning strategy from the Sapphires. But look, who knows? They could be treating this a bit like a scrim, where they're like, cool, let's force ourselves to play this diva. Let's force ourselves to come up with something that isn't just banning them, because we know that'll only buy you one map win, not the 3 that you'll need to win a best of 5 or a first to 3. So maybe that's the strategy here. But from a we want to win as many maps as possible perspective, banning the diva seems like a no-brainer. But anyway, Altruism, we will not be banning the diva here. If Iceland, get their way, we will head now into Esperanza, the push map, and we will see how South Africa respond to what Iceland are going to do, because we know what Iceland are going to do.
Yeah, this is a fact-finding mission, so kind of just South Africa going, this is our first stumbling block, the first question of the test. When you open that thing up and you go, all right, what is, and you start crying on page number 1. It takes a bit of resilience to be able to knock your head against that same door time and time again and go like, okay, let's try something else. We did something, yeah. And let's be fair, South Africa has shown some diverse team comps. We have shown everything from the Cassidy and the Jetpack Cat to the Monkey. Again, Swoom already committing. And, you know, if this is a fact-finding mission for South Africa against an international team, I kind of do wish that we had seen a little bit more than just the Tracer Sojourn combo.
I mean, again, that's not my problem with this composition. I made it so clear. I'm sure the people watching
I'm giving other options, okay?
But that is not my problem with this composition.
Yeah, maybe there needs to be more synergy between Condi and Swoom or something like that. Hey, we are jumping there. That blank there still needs to be filled in. But maybe now the Wu Yang and optional targets that they can work together on.
We'll have to wait and see her. We're an interesting Wuhan. Wu Yang, an interesting character in a lot of ways. I tried playing him for the first time the other day. Wow, he feels bad to play. At least when I played him. But I'm sure that Green Kachu will play him with a lot more efficacy here. Okay, we see the pressure being put onto the diva. Might get D-Mech, but no, Suzu Brugade once again.
How do you get them out of that healing situation? There's nothing that South Africa can put more into that, and they still required to. Neither team picking up that first kill. Condi goes onto tiny HPs. Still the position kind of held here more confidently by South Africa. Here comes everyone top back up. Crizzy into the attack though for Iceland, and looking for those Vendetta slashes. Does actually manage to get some help and takes out Karma on the back line straight away. Now it's just Jacob who's able to heal up, but that's not a lot of sustain. There's not enough sustain, and not going to be any more sustain, unfortunately, as South Africa eventually lose fight number 1.
We didn't call it out here, but Orion on the EMEA as well. I think this is what I was kind of mentioning. You 3 up in a first to 4. You've been dominating on the Sojourn. Now you flex something else. You show what you can do on a different hero, and you have a little bit of fun here. EMEA, one of the 5 new heroes added to the game, so we'll have to see if Orion has the same effect that he had while on the Sojourn here. Being put under pressure immediately, though, by the Monkey.
And rebuffed, but there's the space that was needed. Greenwich actually going to be taken out here. And that's a big play. King on the other side. Oh
my!
Condi finally actually hits one, and it's on his counterpart there. Grizzly suddenly realizing that there's not a lot of people behind them, starts to try to take out there, and there's the duo that we look for. Condi coming straight through the figure of the Monkey to clean off that kill. South Africa take it back.
And Green Catch is like, fine, I'll play the Lucio. You can't win without me. So back onto the green man here. Ryan probably just going to look to use the ultimate. It's called AI Override or something like that. But I don't imagine he'll stay on that if the pressure continues to build here from South Africa. Condi needs to be careful on the front line here. Vendetta spotted out, but the aggressive play comes here. Primal Rage ready to go.
Oh, and Orion going to get pressured out straight away. No way to pop that ultimate. No space when they get out on the other side. And Swoom goes deep, goes down to low HP. Make sure to have everyone's attention and pops his ultimate on the other side. Meanwhile, the payload continues to go. They pick up that checkpoint, and Swoom bounces his way back towards the team. That's big. And now they're actually going to be throwing out their own ultimates. I think that's a Kitsune rush straight away to start us off.
They have the cap here. They've just got the cap as well.
Yeah.
They're happy to lose a team fight from this perspective. The ultimate comes out from the Vendetta, doesn't find any purchase, but will find purchase from the high ground with the sword. Not going to find any kills just yet, though. Commitment, though, ultimate-wise, from Jacob and the rest of the South African team here. But here it is, AI Override. I made it up. I'm not sure that's what it's called, but it's securing a couple of kills here. And that's going to be it for this team from a South African perspective. But they get that cap, they get the forward spawn going into the rest of the map.
I think they're going to be very happy with that. Connie doesn't manage to get anything with that kill on the other side, but it is that early spawn. They're going to give it up quite quickly into this. But, I mean, great position, an early lead. Still 6 minutes to go here. But South Africa, they're not going to take a walk through back to their own spawn constantly, which is so empowering.
Absolutely, it is here as they look to get set up on that high ground once again here. This is risky though from this position, but One King, he's got the ultimate going, but they're fighting now into the sound barrier. Green Kachu charging it up nice and fast, but the One King finds an opening pick onto the dangerous Vendetta in the South African backline.
Man, I thought with that sound barrier, Arsenal was perhaps going to take a couple of steps back. They were in a tunnel. They were being funneled through, and South Africa able to put in a lot of damage. Now they seem to think that they've got the lead, but Zoom undercalculates that for just a second. It was on the leap on the way out. Unfortunately, that means that Iceland has all the space now to walk this through, and Diva making sure none of those shots going to be finding purchase with the teammates. Still pressure going through, and Payload has staggered out. South Africa hasn't lost this fight just yet.
Yeah, it's kind of drawing out once again, but as we've seen over and over, it kind of seems to benefit the red squad here, the Iceland, or the blue squad as it turns out, the Iceland team. They seem to be able to just get the kills they need to and put the pressure where it needs to go. And we see here the kind of position backwards here, both teams defending the enemy spawn, but Zoom, once again, the pressure just too much, and now Crizzy, he's going to look for targets.
Man, South Africa dragged that out for so long. Finally, Zoom able to come back, and he was on the verge of the Primal Rage, but just didn't have to get enough damage. Exploded on the back line. Somehow, though, between the Tracer contesting the point and this off angle from both sides, Zoom back into the fight. And South Africa hasn't given up any space. They've lost fight after fight, but they are still here. They are still winning as Swim using that ultimate, creating consternation, keeping the Diva away, but no real sight lines. Instead, it's going to take a casino rush. Right now that we've invested at the beginning, it's going to be that AI overclock as deemed by Sun Phoenix over the top. Doesn't manage to get any kills on this though, as everyone popping ultimates, managing to get across. Eventually, the Brigida does go down, and George falls on the other side. So, bit of a trade, 1-for-1 in terms of supports. South Africa has still got the One King's ultimate back on game.
Oh, they've just lost the lead, though. They've just lost the lead.
Oh, the payload's gone.
Second. They for half a second, Zoom chased down the Emre, and that was it for the lead. That is a huge change in this map right now. They haven't even won the team fight yet, and Crizzy tracks down Karma with the overhead strike to secure that kill as well. Zoom will track down Orion, but they've got to push all the way across the map to start building a lead, and they're not even going to get started here, Ultras, and that was such a huge moment. It might not end up mattering here, because I think they probably were going to win the team fight anyway, Iceland, but still, that single moment could have made such a huge difference.
Yeah. You know what, considering they still did that over the process of 2 minutes, perhaps, it's still decent that they were trying it out, but like you say, now they've got to get another 30, 40, 50 meters. The longer you let them push right now, and these dragged out team fights are known for this. Over the top comes the Vendetta ultimate. They haven't got a lot of purchase or value out of them thus far. Doesn't manage to eventually track down the King just at the last second, and other kills to follow shortly after.
Yeah, unfortunately, the One King, I think, trying to make a play there, pop the overclock, secure the kill onto the Vendetta before she ends up striking down, but unfortunately, Vendetta just says thank you for the free ultimate. I'll just get rid of you. Does so effectively an hour, Ryan. Oh man, with the railgun, just all the space into the work with here behind this Diva, and he's happy to take advantage of that.
And a large monkey is a great place to charge those railgun shots with no barrier then to put up afterwards. So certainly baiting in South Africa, looking to get them towards it as the dive comes in from Zoom, rebuffed straight away. It's given some space, some overlap as South Africa now tries to find some kills. Karma going to try to take the jewel, doesn't come out there, but it's Condi around the back. Finishes off that counterpart with a final slice, and love the fact that it brings down the Diva. It's suddenly the Vendetta running the show, and South Africa take back this fight, they actually might have a chance to start putting on another attack.
I like this response here from South Africa. Condi switching over to the Vendetta. I almost would have liked to have seen it play a little bit more this series, but now Zoom jumps in.
Oh, no.
But he cannot pop it out. That's it for the Winston.
They did 200 damage in a split second. There was literally no move towards that health bar as they managed to clear that out. Somehow, though, still Condi finding some purchase. He's got some support behind him. The rally keeping them alive for a long. He's also got an ultimate. He has to go back and he needs to avoid the Diva Bomb. Calculates the angle. Well, they've lost the payload, so they're going to have to track that one back. But somehow South Africa arguably still come out the betters in this fight.
The condominium there coming in clutch in the little room. Out competing a few players. They're picking up a triple kill for his team. So excellent play from him there again. And just to reiterate, I feel like he can do a lot of work on this. It almost feels like he wasn't backing his Vendetta, right? The Cassidy ban, kind of leaning back on that Tracer. The Vendetta can dominate so effectively if you play it correctly. And he seems comfortable in doing so. The One King, though, he'll drop first in this team fight.
We're trying desperately to try to force some aggression away from his back line. At least they do manage to wear out the overclock. But again, he doesn't get the ultimate off. Swim behind him falls just as quickly. And Condi not going to be able to bail them out this side. So 30 seconds left on this. They will be able to touch the payload again. But, I mean, they've got a long way to go.
Yeah, it'd have to be something extraordinary here. 3-4 team fights in a row South Africa would have to win when they've struggled to string together 2. So it's been pretty back and forth, but the huge lead that Iceland has built, they'll be more than comfortable trading team fight wins here. But Monkey in now the back line. Palmer Rage at the ready, looking for targets, sees a couple that look pretty juicy, but it's hard to secure kills in these team fights without Condi's backup. But they are rotating around the front now.
That's why you can see he waits every so often on those jumps. Ultimate over the top comes from Condi, but finds nothing. There was that sound barrier forced out on the other side. Crizzy going to get more, and it could not have been a worse target than Condi. They needed him to be able to finish off a lot of these kills. Instead, it's going to be up to the King, popping that ultimate. Overclock gets one, eventually falls down, but they've got the payload. It's going to be there. Don't let it go for a second. Swoom going to be around it. It's going to be clear communications, but there are at least numbers in red.
They do need to push now, and they find the kill onto George. That's a free kill. The Primal Rage popped and looking to get aggro, but not enough targets. And there is a Diva milling about on the right-hand side here. If they can find a kill, Ginger Rifle, that might be game over here. But there's the pressure on. Condi spotted them out. The pressure being put onto the Diva, but the rotation coming through to keep them alive. Card pushing forward here. A pretty decent chunk to go still. It'll have to be a team fight win, Altruism here. Point pushing is not what matters right now. It's winning the team fight and not losing overtime.
Yeah, that's the problem. You've got to keep someone on this payload at all stages, and this is a team comp that actually not normally fights together like this. It is going to be Jacob going down mid-rally, is slashing and dashing. Crizzy is doing far too much damage from the side here of Iceland, and eventually one at a time, it sequentially goes down overtime while Zoom is still alive, but preordained. Iceland going to be able to pick up this show match in a clean 4-0, but still some moments of brilliance from South Africa. Probably, I don't know, son, maybe stronger than I would have expected.
Absolutely. I was desperately concerned that they were going to be manhandled here, and that was 100% not the case. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it feels like the South African squad nerfed themselves with some of the decision-making more than they got outplayed by stronger opponents. So that is a good sign, in my opinion. That might sound an odd thing to say, but like we kind of mentioned after the first game, at this stage, it's too late. You can't teach talent. You can't teach skill. There's nothing to be said there. Yeah. You can learn to strategize differently. You can learn to make better decisions. That is something you can do with the time you have now. So that is a good thing to see, that we've got the likes of Condi who can man for man match up against what we saw coming out of Iceland. Zoom, it's just a decision-making question mark. Why are we so attached to this Winston that we feel like we can't run anything else? Why are we not banning the Diva as an example, or the Kiriko, or the Sojourn if we're not planning on running it ourselves? Which they did most of the time, to be fair. Really, the Diva is the only standout. You can understand, we like the Kiriko, we like the Sojourn, we're happy to play that.
Yeah,
but it just didn't. It was just decision making. That all it was. And outside of that, it's those micro moments. It's those rotations. That is where the big difference between these teams were outside of that, the broader meta decision-making stuff. That is the place where the South African team can look at it and say, damn, okay, we've got a gap to close there. Because Iceland looked solid, they looked well put together, they looked sharp in rotations and decision-making in the moment.
Yeah, it kind of has to change the mentality of any opposition going up against that as preemptive more than reactive, because you kind of need to know which target you're going on as opposed to listening for that. You know, the Kiriko is one. The Kiriko or the Lucio is one, it's too late. There's already a Suzu moving its way towards them. So you look at them at the same time. Like you say, some decisions here or there. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more diversity in the general approach. You know, we got to see the dominers. Zoom did a great job on the domino. And so, you know, why did we not get to see a couple more pick compositions or see a Reinhardt? I kind of wish we had gone to King's Row at some stage. That is the one place that would have really reflected South Africa and how adamant they were. If the day Zoom plays Winston onto King's Row when there is other options available and forces it, makes me really worried. But otherwise, like you say, looks strong. It's decisions, it's heroes, it's bans, it's weird little efficiencies here, but the team is looking really good, and I'm excited that this is the beginning of that international journey.
100%. I think there are problems to solve that can be solved. I think this team is not the best version of it that we've seen so far, and there's room to improve, and those improvements are capable to be made. They were not steamrolled. They were not man for man beaten to a pulp, which was the worry coming into this. They were here to play. They showed up and they put up a fight, and that's all we asked for at the start of this Ultrasm. So really pleased with what I saw from, in a grand sense today, from the South African team, and looking forward to see how Iceland performs against some other teams, again, to kind of get a sense of how we stack up. We took the fight to them. I'm sure Iceland will feel like they never really were in any danger of losing maps or series, but from the South African perspective, we can be very happy with what these 6 or 7 players have shown us today.
We forced out a good couple of overtimes, let's be fair. We even took up a map on control. So we're in the overtime ranges, but now we're going to go into overtime as we really break down what happened in this matchup with the rest of our panel. From Sun Phoenix and I, that's it for tonight. Bye. Panel, what do you think?
Alrighty, so some great Overwatch we got to see, some standout moments from our team, some really, some shining light in the darkness, I want to say. Yeah, it was a sweep. Yeah, we kind of took it a little bit rough, but we still had some fight in us, and it's good to see that the South African team, there's hope. So, what do we think, boys?
I think whatever we take from this, whatever criticisms there are for the team aside, the fact that most of the games came down to 1 or 2 fights, the difference was, okay, if, there was a difference in how this transpired here, if this pick didn't happen there, maybe we take a fight, and then the extra 30 seconds that Iceland want to map in, maybe don't happen. There's there are structural things that we can comment on, and I'm sure we will, and I'm sure we'll hear from both sides of why the game transpired the way it did. But I think it's a really good sign that we're taking an established team that far, despite a relatively minor status as a nation. So all things considered, I think a good showing from the team, even if there are things to improve on.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think there's always positives you've got to glean from situations like this, right? It was, like you said, it wasn't all just doom and gloom throughout. There were definitely really strong moments from the team that they can look through, and there's a lot of learnings from these games, and it's always better, I think, in these situations to face those struggles early so that you can then adapt later, because if you don't face those struggles, you don't really know what to adapt to. And obviously there's a very clear struggle in terms of the D.Va character, but I also think at the end of the day, Ginger had a really strong performance, and you can't only just glean that off of, oh, D.Va is just way too strong. He put in a really strong performance at the same time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you're looking at this team, and what's nice, I even say this in my classroom, there's a place to make mistakes and there's a place to learn, and this being a show match is, I think, a good place for us to learn, kind of gauge the caliber of what is out there, what you're going to be facing if you're going into the Overwatch World Cup. And all of those really big stages with the big players and everybody who's used to this and used to that kind of pressure as well. So I think it's a good learning experience, a good place to kind of absorb all of this, deal with the emotions, run the roller coaster. I think it's just a good place to feel all that.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better, honestly.
Pretty much, yeah.
So let's take it map by map. So our first map, we had the Lijiang pick, and that was also an Iceland pick. Said it many times, very much the home of competitive Overwatch, one of the most common maps to be played. And then we got a Domina ban and a Vendetta ban. Yeah, we kind of predicted there was going to be either Domina or Zarya, and then we just didn't see Zarya at all. The D.Va came out. What do we make of that?
I mean, we did see in the OWCS preseason tournament a lot of D.Va, and from the eventual tournament winners Twisted Minds, we saw a lot of D.Va. We know how impactful that hero can be. We know how absolutely dominant that hero can be. So, not surprising to see. Surprising to not see the proper response to it. Which, again, the Twitch chat will tell you that. It's not exactly highbrow commentary. But it was definitely something that it's D.Va is and has been one of the strongest heroes in the game for a while. And we were seeing definitely a master of the craft on D.Va right there.
For sure. This also shows that our team sometimes, we've said it before, it doesn't always follow the meta 100%. And I think when we get to this level, now the meta matters a lot more. Now it's not just a mastery of your hero, but it's a mastery of what is good. And out of that, balance between, can we find what's good, what we're good at, and marry that together. And yeah, I guess Iceland had the lucky draw of just being really good at D.Va.
And I do think in that map you maybe think, okay, let's see if we can beat the start, right? So that's what we saw. That's a map 1, okay, it's control, we can get a little bit spicy with it, and we did see them get spicy. They pulled out a Reinhardt.
Yeah, very spicy.
We saw Ryan, But I think you maybe think you can get away with the Winston on a first map like that and see if you can really push it. I think that was the map to try. That was maybe the map to start trying to problem solve as well. But they didn't really get into that stage in that map, and I mean we saw it like the first round was very close. The second round, went our way, and then the third round we didn't really look like we had a way into really. So like that's where we needed to start problem solving already.
Honestly, that first map felt kind of like calibration for both teams.
Yeah.
The first map, Iceland came out, they kind of just had the better comp, I think, because we were running, I think, the Mizuki Kiri with the Soj.
It was Mizuki Juno, but yeah.
Oh, Mizuki Juno, sorry. I had my teams like mixed up a bit. But anyway, my point was that we had this like interesting comp. It felt almost like, let's experiment, let's like bring something new in, how is it gonna work? And then we found out, okay, maybe not. And then that second map, we found something again, and it was good and it worked. And then the third map, Iceland found something against our something, and then it was like both teams kind of adapting to each other. And then we kind of just like calibrated on that map, and unfortunately Iceland kind of had that the better calibration there, because that third point was also so dominant from them.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think also like for Night Market especially, once you start losing control of that map, it's very difficult to regain it, especially playing Winston into D.Va. You don't really have the room to dive through without taking damage, or the D.Va being able to pressure you out before you dive. So I think that could be a big contributor to the fact that it was 100-0, whereas the other two were a lot closer.
Yeah, and then if we move on to the next map on Gibraltar, there was an Ash ban, there was a Brig ban. And the Brig ban tells me, oh yes, we want to go and dive, we want to do all of that. And then that just didn't, like that, we didn't really counter the idea. Maybe we didn't read into that enough, but the D.Va ran complete amok on that entire map.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely a huge D.Va issue in that entire map, and that it was what made us struggle to really capture that second point. We jammed in at that door for what must have been like 3 minutes. Because at the end of the day, once the back's against the wall there's not that much space in behind that's the D.Va / the sweep. And that's maybe the thing that you can kind of punish for the rest of the map, and that we did punish, is that you can put a wedge between the D.Va and the thing you want to kill. You can move things around a little bit and play like that. But once you get backs against the wall, it's not that easy. And we were lucky enough to break it in the first point, and the first point has a little bit more of that like hedged verticality and that kind of secondary flank route to the server room that makes it like possible to really manipulate some space a little bit. But second point, once you get to that bit past the ship, it's so tight. There's so little for you to play with past that area. And when you're already struggling to get into that fight with the Winston, to then get in and have impact before getting impact, it's like before you're dying, versus D.Va, who most fights is going to have 2 lives, some fights will have 3.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't want to harp on too much on Gibraltar, but Blizzard World was quite an interesting play for me. We banned the Cassidy there, they banned the Ana, which that kind of makes sense. The Cassidy ban was a little strange. I don't think we'd seen Cassidy then, but maybe we were anticipating it.
We had seen Cassidy, we'd played it.
Yeah, but like from Iceland. Is what I'm saying. Then we also came out with this Kiri Brig backline, which personally I don't think I understand. I'm just a diamond player. I don't tend to know everything. But in my mind, this doesn't really make much sense to me, given that we want to play the Winston, and like the Kiri Brig, they don't really play together. It's not very like the supports aren't supporting each other much. We just kind of got run through again. And then on defense, we put out that Torb, and it actually worked really well. Had we not had that one fight loss, we probably would have held that.
But I mean, that's actually the definition of like what I was speaking of. It's like it's one of those maps that it's like it goes to a last fight and then we get beaten. And then Gibraltar was actually, not harping on Gibraltar, but Gibraltar was very much the same. Is that we got really far in that map, and then the weight of the game got past us.
Yeah.
But Blizzard World was definitely, we were in 1-5 territory, and I think it's one of those games that's, I think there's a couple of composition choices there that we can discuss. I mean, you're talking about the Kiri Brig backline, and I think it was strange to see those two together, because generally, I mean, I'm thinking the Brig was there to answer the D.Va, right? But I mean, if that was the case, why were we playing Winston in the first place? Kind of like that's the kind of thought process to how to go around it. But I mean, once we pulled out the Domino, once we pulled out the Torbjorn in there, things that really stopped them taking that aggression. Because I think one of the comments I made to you guys during that intermission was that they were so aggressive onto us at every point. They were like constricting the space we had to take. And once there was an ability to press out like the rest of their team being able to push in and press out that D.Va, putting HP depth pressure on that D.Va, we were able to hold space so well. Zwooms held very, very solidly on that Domino as well, put in so much damage, and was so stable for much of that round. And it was just at the last second, it was a stumbling point. But it's one of those maps as well. It's like you fail to take first, and suddenly it's backs against the wall as well. It's so It's one of those things that you have to not make a single mistake or you lose. And you know,
for sure.
It's a spirited showing to even get to the last team fights.
Yeah, no, and it's absolutely no disrespect to the SA team, obviously, because it's still, after having like hit your head against the wall that much and still to put up a performance like that, it's very much like to try and get up a mountain, and they got quite far up the mountain. Maybe didn't summit it, but they got quite far. The one thing that is just a little confusing to me is how little Zarya we saw. Given that there was a D.Va, there's just like the little amount of Zarya into that D.Va. The Domino obviously as well, like probably runs really well into a D.Va given the fact that both are beams.
Yeah.
So I'm just like surprised because Zoom has a really good Zarya on him. I'm just a little confused as to why that never happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't be in the minds of the players at all time. Otherwise, these interview segments would be very boring.
Yeah, so true. Then obviously that last map, Esperanza, as well. There was a queen ban from us, and then they banned Torb. Just a little bit of trauma there. Like when a professional player, you're gonna see a Torb ban. Anyway, the thing is that again, we decided to ban something that wasn't the D.Va, and we actually did quite well at the start of the map. We had the lead for quite a while, and then there was just a little bit of misplay where I think Zwoom ended up chasing somebody, and then that little slight moment, we had lost the lead, and then it just kind of snowballed a little bit. But still, again, spirited showing, really good fight, and then just a little something that kind of tips it in the edge, in the way of Iceland.
Yeah, and I think that's push in a nutshell, right? Like you can get so much momentum going, but as soon as you let that slip, it can just cascade in such a terrible way. But like I think talking about the Junker Queen ban, obviously this is purely going off, looking at career profile. Tank player is a massive Junker Queen player. And Esperanza has always been a notorious map for Junker Queen. Yes, there's high ground, but she can negate it pretty well. And maybe the thought process there is we don't want to deal with someone who has already been dominant on D.Va. Now, if he's given his best character, this character that he's hit, not rank 1 on, maybe we're better off not. Obviously, Junker Queen not in the best spot, but again, it's something that it's only an assumption at this point. It's difficult to know if that's exactly the reason behind the Junker Queen ban in the end.
Well, actually, we're lucky enough to go and ask some people about this because we have Condi on the line. Blur, are you ready to take us in?
Oh, yeah. Feel a little starstruck, honestly. I hope that wasn't through stream. Thank goodness. Okay, welcome to the welcome to the stream, Condi. Well played on your match. Okay, hello.
Hello.
So firstly, well played on your match here. I know it's never nice to be in a sweep, but I mean it was a spirited performance. Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In our roster. You're definitely kind of like one of the ones that's actually played at the highest level. It's something to bring everyone else up to speed with. So how is the team going about that? How are you guys getting to the point of getting everyone to that power?
So a lot of it is very dynamic at the moment. I think there's a lot of respect and optimism with everyone in the team, especially with figures like myself and Theo having said experience. And so I think a lot of the people that are playing with us are really looking forward to just kind of lead off of that, as well as giving their expertise opinions in said heroes. And a lot of that ends up in discourse in between rounds, plans, what people feel comfortable on. And yeah, we're just kind of letting it go fairly in and just kind of ride the wave, take the improvement step by step, and just have fun, really.
And to this point, like how I'm assuming that's going fairly well. Can't be showing today, but how does that kind of manifest in the in-game? Because obviously, again, you're talking about players that are used to playing open game level, different kind of. So how are we kind of handling when we get to the tough choices?
So, I mean, the tough choices, a lot of it pivots really on the leadership. Thankfully, we've got a very good coaching support line as well. And a lot of them are just really giving sort of feedback and more of a direction, I guess, said with our strengths. And a lot of that is really just kind of deciding like what we want to specialize in, how we want to go about it, how we go moving forward, and realistically any heavier said decisions will be taken on very welcomely by the coaching staff. I have to really thank Aussie and Vision for the VODs and support that they've really given us.
Absolutely, I do imagine that's about. Given that's what we're talking about, I don't know how much you're willing to talk about that, but I'm assuming that kind of Winston style that we saw a lot of today is what we're considering Astro.
Well, it's definitely, without saying too much, it's definitely what we are working on because it teaches very, very good fundamentals of Overwatch. A lot of it is still up in the air because the tournament is still coming in a few weeks' time. And there's a lot that can change, especially with patch notes, new heroes, a lot of chaos. Maybe an amazing team out there will find a new meta that is really pivotal with how the future of Overwatch is played. But at the moment, for us as players, especially with the expertise brought in from Theo, for example, who's played dive at the highest level in Europe, we're really using that as a chance to kind of gear us up for the best chance that as things kind of progress, we can maybe decide to kind of work on our comforts or maybe adapt to the meta. But these things that we're working on now will apply to almost every single comp, even Brawl. And so we're just kind of using that as our backing for what we plan to do.
And your approach coming into this match, was it to kind of like test where you are with that on that level?
Absolutely. I mean, credit to the Iceland team. I've seen some of their players before. I haven't competed in a while myself, but a lot of it is just kind of gauging where the level is really for us, also based off of scrims. And with all due respect, judging kind of comps to see, are we able to make these comps work on an official type setting? Obviously, with a show match and stuff, there was a bit of tomfoolery on the first round, trying out a new composition, having some fun. But a lot of it is really just kind of feeling the water, just seeing how far we can realistically go with the set of players we have and how much we can improve in this period of time.
Okay. So now onto some match-specific questions, and there's a burning one. You know this one. You had to know this one was coming. Where was the D.Va ban?
Where was the D.Va ban? Honestly, retrospectively, very good idea. I think instinctively we kind of felt that on paper, obviously D.Va is extremely strong as a hero. But as much as D.Va was a very pivotal hero for them, we felt like it's also a good chance to really give us a gauge to see where our level is at, because realistically we could ban D.Va on 1 or 2 of these set maps. For the rest of the maps they'd still be played, of course, but at the same time we can also play D.Va ourselves. Zoom does have that in the back pocket. Simultaneously, D.Va is extremely strong, but I don't think is the end all and be all. And for all credit, it's like to our level, you know, we're, for full transparency, we're not on the level as like Korea or some of these heavier hitting teams. So those differences will absolutely matter in the nth degree for the top teams. But for us, you know, it's just kind of to see what we can get away with as well, potentially. And for those credits, the maps were extremely close. Even considering the scoreline, a lot of maps really came down to those minute details. So we kind of were okay with letting D.Va be available in that case.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, definitely there's a lot of positive to take from this. Do you have anyone in particular you feel absolutely shone in your team today?
That's a good shout. I'd have to say thanks to Karma. I must say, very, very proud of their showing. A player that I've never met before prior to trials and playing on the team. But when the going gets tough, Karma really tends to find these magic picks or pressure on Kiriko that is an absolute powerhouse to have on said role, especially for the flex support roles. Very nice to see support that can also be a little bit DPS hungry. So I really, really must give a shout out to them.
Fair enough. And obviously, I mean, I obviously met you before you went and made a whole season. Even very briefly, we were on a roster. But you are like the epitome of a player that came out of South Africa, went and made your name in Europe. How would you say that players coming up now should do if they want to make their way into OWCS, and how, like, can you share some of your kind of insights on how you made that work?
Absolutely. I think a lot of it really comes down to mentality. I would sympathize with people living and playing in South Africa because there's a lot of infrastructural problems that make it sometimes difficult to participate. One being load shedding, another being ping. A lot of these factors I had dealt with myself even whilst I was scrimming and living in South Africa. But I think a lot of it is just trying to make the best of your situation and just trying to learn. Because everyone is making mistakes, everyone's trying to climb the ladder, and a lot of it just comes down to dedication, willing to put in the effort, and just looking honestly at yourself and saying, hey, what could I do better? How could I be a better teammate, a better person? And I think that's really what a lot of people should do if they try to compete.
Thank you very much for that. I hope that some of our viewers today take that to heart, and hopefully we see more Condis heading overseas and making a name for themselves in the next few years. Thank you very much, and again, very well played today. We're really, really looking forward to seeing more out of this team.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. It was great to hear from Condi, and thanks for conducting that interview, Blur. Yeah, it's really refreshing to hear Condi's very uplifting and positive and wholesome outlook on this match, even though it was quite the stomp score-wise. So yeah, now we're just quickly going to go into a quick intermission so that we can get our next interviewee on the line. Alrighty, so after we got that sorted out, we now have the South African assistant coach on the line ready for an interview. Are we good to go into that? Excellent news. We have gotten confirmation, so let's get right into it.
Okay, hello. We have Ossie, the South African team coach here. And yeah, firstly, well played to you and your team today. A very, very spirited showing. The 4-0 does not tell the story. I'm sure you'll be telling them as much as anyone. How are you feeling after that game?
I'm feeling pretty alright. I'm happy with how the guys played. We know what we should be working on, and we have a direction. And yeah, I'm quite happy.
I mean, that's a very good place to be. So I mean, obviously, you're looking at the final score. Unfortunately, the 4-0. But a lot of the maps came down to like one or two kind of key moments. Is there any key moments that you kind of like saw there that, you have a kind of like, it's one of those things you've been working on, but you see the improvements where it'll help the team win those fights?
I mean, it's kind of tough for me to say. There were some internal problems. I only took over as head coach today. I mean, now we have some new wind in our sails. It's very little prior work we had done with me, at least. But yeah, I mean, during the match itself, we already saw like big improvements in the team. So I think like, yeah, there were moments where I think that the feedback I gave was implemented, and we looked better in the further maps. So yeah, I guess there were.
Fair enough. In terms of kind of Iceland, obviously the team will have had some type of prep going into there. Was there anything they had that caught you guys off guard?
I mean, not that it necessarily caught us off guard, but I was surprised that they didn't play the Queen at any point. We kind of, coming in today, I mean, I didn't call many comps since, again, I don't have the most experience with this team, but their strength is dive. They've been playing quite a bit of dive, and we want to pivot into that later on as well, I think. And we wanted to pick divey maps, but still, like, there were definitely moments where they probably could have played Queen, and we were more concerned about the Queen than we maybe should have been. But yeah, apart from that, no, not really.
Okay. I mean, in terms of kind of how the team themselves played today, was there kind of like resilience to the team, or did you feel were things kind of starting to slip when we went down? Or did we kind of manage to band together?
I feel like mental wise and keeping the thing all together, this team is really, really strong. I didn't feel at any point that people lost faith that we could win, or that people started tilting. There were no like issues in that sense. I feel like that's one of our strong suits, if anything. They're all very, very like level-headed, and they talk to each other, and they have a very sort of problem-solving oriented mindset towards things. Like we try to work through our things together, and if we can't, then we look at it in the VOD and we learn more.
That's a great way to look at it. It's really good to hear that the team is kind of able to keep it together and keep a kind of consistent level even when things are tough. Despite it being a negative result, did you have a positive highlight that coming out for this game? Do you have something that you were like, oh, that was a really good play from our team, or a moment that someone individually popped off and you were like, wow, that was a great moment?
I think there were many. I think everyone had moments where they were able to shine and do different things. Hard to pinpoint any. I mean, it was a very, very long match. I mean, as a coach, obviously, like the moment we won the second sub map on Lijiang would be something that probably brought hope and good vibes to the rest of the team as well. And that's something that I'd lift like the whole team's efforts to win that point. I think they had voted it prior with some of the other members, and that map was a point that we specifically struggled on. So I think that's a big win that we can take home from today.
That's really wonderful to hear, and it's good to hear that we're kind of like moving in a positive direction, that there's growth in the way we play. I presume I'm speaking for most of the community here, but I'm very excited to see what the evolution will be, where we go from here.
Yes, likewise. excited for the team's future.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and good luck with the coaching and with the team, and well played today.
Thank you, thank you.
I think Lix is muted.
So this time I was talking to my demons. Love that. Just love having those moments. But yeah, thanks so much to Aussie for this great insight into the team. I mean, we love hearing that South Africans will always be South Africans, and the good vibes just say good vibes all the way through. Yeah, thanks so much for today. It was a great showing from our team. Some great Overwatch that we had. Gent, thank you so much for being on this panel with me. We unfortunately have come to the end of tonight. Any parting words for our team?
I mean, I'm excited, like, especially hearing from both Condi and Aussie. You can hear that there's that want to improve, and it's not going to be stagnant from here. There's going to be definite ways to move forward, and they're not, beating themselves down for this loss. There's a lot of things that they've already identified, and especially, like, we talked about a lot with the D.Va pick, but they clearly had, an understanding of why the D.Va was strong, but also they didn't want to just say, oh, we want to get rid of the D.Va, we want to try counter the D.Va. We want to figure out ways how we can play around it, besides just, oh, go Zarya, go Torb, or whatever the case is on every map.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good to see. I mean, it always helps mitigate it when you know the thought process behind things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it helps. Like, we're sitting here going, "Oh, why didn't you ban D.Va? Why didn't you ban D.Va?" And it's like, yeah, it makes sense in the context now. I'm sure when we get to kind of the business end of a tournament, the choices won't be the same based on exactly what Condi and Aussie have said to us today. Is that it's them understanding what they can and can't do, and figuring out exactly how they want to play. And I mean, we've all been there, even in our Diamond and Masters ranked teams, knowing exactly where, like, learning exactly what we want to do and how we want to do it. And, that's the South African national team will be exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it is still at the end of the day just a show match. It doesn't really mean anything in the stakes of anything. So again, good room to just try these things, good room to experiment, good room to bash your head against the wall if you really need to.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of head bashing.
Oh yeah, more bashing than a metal concert, but we had a good time. We had a good time. Listen, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's exceptional to hear the spirit.
Yeah.
Yes.
The spirit of the team is always a great thing to hear, and no one likes to be on a team where everyone tilts the second something goes wrong. So our team keeping their heads and keeping it a good space, I'm really, really happy to hear that.
Yeah. All great vibes. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you for joining us for a great evening of Overwatch. Thanks to my great panelists and also the great casters that did such an excellent job.
Even
shout
though
out
they got
Sun
squished
Phoenix,
early.
shout out, and Ultraism. But yeah, so that is unfortunately the end for tonight. Hopefully we will have more show matches to cast for you guys. I have been Lixodian. This was Lord of Terrans and Blur, and we are signing out. Good night.